Ahoy, fine people of Portland. We're down a man, but only temporarily. Sook's here with you. I got Buckley across the way. I'm looking over here, though, and the pilot of this fine program for the last 20 years, the beautiful, the luscious one Isaac Robb, he's missing.
The captain's out.
The captain's out. But
at least for now.
Yeah, the captain's on his way, though.
Yes,
so this is we got this around, 1:45 to 2 o'clock. We got the message.
Do you think he's listening to us right now, or do you think that he's got a podcast going or something?
What's interesting, because I've said many a time that no one listens less than Isaac Everett Robb. You know, it's like every now, because I'll listen to Dirt and Sprague in the morning.
Yeah, I do too. When I'm taking my kid to school.
Yeah, and like every now and then they'll say something, or they'll ask your opinion, or they'll be like,
actually, your name came up on that program this very morning.
Yeah, and I did. I shot Sprague a text message
about Joe Fisher not being able to run a 5.240.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing known to man. So I'll listen to Dirt and Sprague while I'm walking my dog, and sometimes I don't listen live. I'll go back and I'll listen, jump around to different segments. And yeah, today obviously people are talking about the NFL Combine, and we shall too talk about the Combine. Winners, losers, local guys, all that fun stuff. We got Jason Kelce calling out Big D energy. We got all kinds of stuff to get into. The freaking Trailblazers who have decided to dominate. What is happening there?
Hey.
Not happy about back-to-back wins.
No.
Although we found out that Memphis is just as garbage as the Blazers.
Boy, and
Holy
how. I mean,
cow.
I didn't realize just how ravaged they had been by injuries similar to the Blazers, but even more so because it included Ja Morant.
But yeah, so I was listening this morning, and Sprague was talking about the Combine, and they said, hey, what fan personality do you think believes they can run? I think it was a 5.2. Yeah,
I think it was 5.27 because I don't know. That was number.
I think Fuaga, I think it was the tackle for the Bees, ran 5.27, who, by the way, had a really nice day. Some people think that he has solidified himself as maybe the second or third tackle off the board, like top 15 pick.
Yeah, I had been hearing likely top first round, but then top 15, even top 10, depending on how he did, and it seems like he had a good showing.
And so they were like, which fan personality? And Swag was like, well, what about Sook? And I immediately started laughing. Like, really? You think I'm going to go out there and boast that I can run a 5.27? First off, that's about what I ran when I was at the Combine, which was, God, what was that, 2001? So 23 years ago? I'm pretty certain that I'm not pulling a Tom Brady and running better now with my knees. I don't run, period. Like anyone that's been around, I don't run.
I have all of your Combine results right here.
What was my 40?
5.38.
See, exactly. Like, I'm not running.
And you were a pro football player.
Yeah, that's not happening. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's not. And so, so that they were kind of going down the list, and they said Joe Fisher. I said, really? Like Joe Fisher? Joe Fisher thinks he's going to go out and run 5.27? And I love me some Joe Fisher. But let's not act like Joe is in necessarily great shape. This is the biggest every year and 1 year we actually did this. We did like the fan combine.
Yeah, I've heard tales of this.
And luckily, I don't think anyone got seriously hurt. But because there's nothing better than middle-aged men who haven't stretched in a decade going out and trying to perform the most explosive movements possible, right? Like, I wouldn't even begin to like you. I don't know how much money you would have to pay me for me to get into a 3-point stance and then try to explode out. And by explode out, I mean blow out both of my Achilles tendons at the exact same time. Like, I'm active. I work out pretty much every day. But you know what I don't do? I'm not doing box jumps.
Yeah.
I'm not doing explosive start and stops. But Joe, who I think Joe's like 32, 33.
That's about right.
Yeah, Joe, who, again, I'm pretty certain isn't doing sprint training. Joe thinks he goes out and is going to run 5.2 flat.
That's the thing. Like 7 or 8 years ago, I was relatively active, but I was playing in a random, like as an extra in a softball game, and I was playing in the outfield, and someone hit a ball in the gap, and I didn't realize I hadn't sprinted in like years, and I just took off running after this ball. I tore myself my hamstring.
Yeah.
It just like if you haven't been doing it, the full speed 100% muscle engagement, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah,
and you're not gonna get it done.
It's just not happening. Like we have no concept. Like the average dude, the average beer league, whatever. And, and I'm not saying Joe's in bad shape, but again, I don't think Joe's taking his shirt off at the beach and is like, check this out. Like, you have no idea. When's the last time any of us, like, no one runs a 40. No one sprints. Like, maybe if you gave me like a 40-yard run up, Like if you allowed me to start kind of like with a walk and then a jog and then maybe a light run
and then get up to a full speed.
Possibly. I not by the way, I mean possibly run 40 yards without blowing something out.
Yeah.
And like I'm not talking about getting to time. I'm just
again,
talking
you're
about
stressing all these muscles and ligaments to their fullest for the first time in ages.
Yes, it's the same, and I equated this when they were talking about Fisher. There was years ago that Jason Swigard, who doesn't lift weights, Jason Swigard on the show was like, because Dirt was doing a thing with Crunch Fitness. Me and him both, do Crunch, and Swag was under the idea that he could squat 300 pounds, and I was like, what? So I was like, yeah, I could squat 300 pounds, and I said, you don't lift weights. He's like, so? I could squat 300 pounds. And I said, there is 0.0 chance that you could squat 300 pounds. None. And I think, by the way, they attempted that. They signed a waiver. I think he squatted like 185. And then he had to bow out. That would be Joe Fisher. Every dude thinks that they just walk in. I'll bench 250. I'll squat 345, and I'm running 4.9. Really? You're going to go out. You're going to go out and you're going to run better than a first-round offensive tackle. Like, people think that 5.25 or 5.3 is slow. No,
because
it's
the
not.
big guy. No.
Because it's a big guy.
Yeah.
They would absolutely cook you. So, anywho, that was what happened this morning. But
do you know what your top speed was?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
15.2 miles per hour.
I was not fleet of foot.
That sounds relatively fast to me.
There was nothing relatively fast about anything. That was the combine. Oh, and by the way, the highlight of my combine was I was told by the Jets medical staff that I was red flagged not once, not twice, thrice. 3 medical red flags. Now that is
what were they? What were they?
My knee red flagged me, which by the way, beautiful, because my knee was absolutely garbage. They red flagged me for my shoulder, which to this day, absolutely garbage. Thumbs up on that. And they red flagged me because I had spinal stenosis. I had a bunch of nerve problems in my neck that caused one side of my body to get stingers and go numb, which, by the way, still exists. So those medicals, they work. They weed you out. So
you rocked a 29-inch vertical, though. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, it was all right.
I think that's good.
Yeah, what, 300 was like 315 pounds, something like that?
You came in at 304.
Oh, all right. Look at me being lighter.
Svelte.
Right. Yeah, svelte 304. Damn right. No, so we were talking about, like, do you listen to the show? No one listens to the show less than Isaac Robb. So going all the way back to this, is Isaac listening to us as he's driving in right now? I'm going to say no. I think there's an off chance because he's on the way to the show. There is a chance that he is listening to find out exactly what we've been talking about.
So that we don't redo it a second time?
Yeah, but I doubt we're going to be talking about Joe Fisher or Isaac being here late. So about 1:45 today, the texts come in, and it's the group text, and it's from Rob. He says, hey, the wife's working today. I got to take Molly Two Poops to the emergency vet. And that was it. And so he's like, dude, I hope to be there in time. Well, me and Buck were both planning. We're like, hey, emergency vet, you do what you can.
No idea how that's going to go.
No idea that's going to go. The fact that he's even attempting to be here.
Probably good news.
To me is that's good news because anytime you go to the emergency vet, like what exactly, and we didn't know. Like I didn't ask. I didn't want to pry.
Yeah, don't know if she ate something or if it just some symptom presented her. No idea. Yeah,
the vet thing is, that can be a delicate dance there. When you're dealing with the old pet health. But apparently, things are somewhat okay. Because then we got a text later about maybe 2:30 from Rob saying, "Hey, out in Tigard, on the way. GPS says whatever." So I think he's just running a little late. So I think in theory, within a segment or two. Again, the beautiful head of this program, Isaac Robb, should be here.
We will be graced with his presence.
We will be graced with his presence, where I'm sure he will dig into all of the NFL Combine stuff because no one loves the Underwear Olympics more than Isaac Robb.
You know what? He says this was a vet thing. He was probably working on his 7-round mock is what was going on here.
Well, I will say that Andrew Nemec sent me this was like maybe a week ago. He sent me a message that said, I've already done my first 2 rounds. Like, he's already mocked up his first 2.
He's also told me that he's done this, taken a different approach where he's mocked all 7 rounds, but for individual teams. Like, he'll take the team's first-round pick, and then he'll have the computer generate who the other picks are going to be until it gets to his same team's second-round pick. And so he's mocked the entire draft for handful, dozens of different teams. It's really almost deranged.
Well, he is he's on the spectrum somewhere. Like, can you be autistic for one thing and just one thing, or is it when you're on the spectrum, you're on the spectrum? Like, is there little like little corners of the spectrum that just exist for NFL and college and high school? Because
must.
Yeah, Nemec would find that.
This is an obsession.
Yes. Yeah, they see, and that I don't know if of obsession is like he's an idiot savant when it comes to this sort of stuff. So whatever the exact opposite of that, there's Rob. I find somewhere in the middle. Like I think the combine is interesting.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, I'll turn it on and I'll watch some of the stuff. I'm interested in hearing some of the chatter about players. And I do think that it's useful, but when you look at all the different guys that are kind of testing out, saying, hey, no thanks. And by the way, very few people actually did all the tests.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Adunze might have been the only one. I don't think he benched. But I think other than that, he did everything. But most of the top guys now are electing not to do this. And so people are asking, well, is the combine going to go away? Is it becoming irrelevant like the All-Star game? And I'd say absolutely not. It may become irrelevant for guys that have solidified their spot, but it's been that way forever. And like I remember when I was at the combine, our top guys were like Julius Peppers, Bryant McKinney, who was the offensive tackle out of Miami. Like those guys came and did nothing. And quarterbacks, big time quarterbacks, haven't thrown at the combine forever.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a while.
When's the last time you had like the number one overall player that decided to show up and he was going to run a 40 and he was going to throw? It's just, especially if you're a quarterback, that there's just no advantage to it. So while the combine, I still think serves as a valuable tool and will always serve as a valuable tool for medical records, for interviewing guys, see how they handle it. And a lot of it too is, can you show up in shape? I mean, it's a job interview and you have months to get ready for it.
And that's, for me, I think if I'm taking anything away from it, like I'm not looking at these guys and scouting them the way like Nemec or even someone like yourself might, because I don't know the game that well, but I'm interested. And I think the biggest thing for me that I usually take away is the guy who comes in and says something to make himself look like an ass, or shows up looking like he treated his body like ass for the last however long. That's the guy that I want my franchise to stay away from.
Yeah, like you remember when Burfict, the linebacker,
at ASU.
At ASU. Like he showed up to the combine and he was one of the better Pac-12 linebackers I ever watched.
Oh, he was really good.
But he showed up to the combine like 30 pounds, like overweight. He just had like an abysmal performance and no one wanted to touch him because the guy turned out to be a jackass. Well, the guy was a jackass his entire NFL career. Now he ended up having a pretty successful career because he was really good, but he cost himself millions of dollars in the combine because he couldn't bother to show up in shape. And so there is always going to be there's always going to be a place for the combine. And it's also important for people that aren't guaranteed first round picks. There's a lot of money that is won and lost at the NFL combine. So anytime you hear someone say it's irrelevant, it's not. It may be irrelevant for 6 or 7 guys, but for the vast majority that decide to show up, there is something to be gained or lost.
It can confirm or deny your status, or what your status was coming in. Whereas, like, I mean, I saw that like Troy Franklin ran a 4.41 this weekend, and he was talking about as a guy who could be a fringe number one. That probably solidifies him as number one.
It's funny that Troy Franklin is almost universally viewed as one of the losers in this draft.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So wow, I'm surprised by that.
So this is kind of the funky thing about it is, again, going back to like the 40 time is the end all to be all. It's becoming less and less relevant. So he runs a 4.41.
Which I thought was good for him.
It was great. I mean, he's a tall guy, 6'2". He only weighed 176, but he ran 4.4. But I guess all the GPS data when he was running, like in the drills, and he just wasn't very athletic. He struggled with his hips. So by most accounts,
with his movements,
Yeah.
essentially?
So it's funny. By most accounts, he actually performed very poorly at the combine, even though when you look at 4.41, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that's the other thing about the combine is sometimes you have to dig a little deeper than you're just, oh, well, this guy ran this guy benched this guy jumped that. There's more to it. And teams are looking for more than just, did you go out and run a 40? And I'm not saying he killed his draft stock. Yeah. It's just that when you look through most of the people's winners and losers, believe it or not, Franklin runs a 4.41, and he was viewed as one of the losers.
Huh.
Hey!
You think he needs to go see Herm Edwards?
How's it going?
For some hip thrust?
Oh.
Wasn't that the Herm Edwards thing?
Yeah.
Right?
You got to have early hips, man. Early
hips.
thrust.
Yeah, I think that's what he
He
needs to go
did.
do.
He did not have oily. He did not
needs
have
to-
oily hips.
Well, he needs to hire Herm. What's up? Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. We're holding down the fort. We were happy that you even bothered.
Yeah, how's Miss Molly?
Yeah,
Oh,
we thought
she's-
Molly Two Poops like that takes precedence.
Yeah, Molly Two Poops had some issues today. Took her to the emergency vet. Got out of there. You know, you got to wait. Like it's always crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's busy.
Oh, the vet's a terrible place.
Yeah, so we called the vet, and then the vet was like, "Well, you should probably go to the emergency vet." So we went to the emergency vet, and I'm here now. She's
Okay.
she's gonna live.
Is she here with? Is she
No,
with us? Oh.
my wife actually got out of her last
we
session. So
were kind of hoping we were going to get a Molly Two Poops
Oh.
on the YouTube.
No, she's quite sick, but we're hoping that it's nothing serious.
Okay,
so
well, fingers
she's,
crossed. I'm
yeah.
sure it was a ridiculous bill. And
Take a guess.
emergency vet?
Yeah,
I'm going
instant because this was minimum vet. Or I mean, like a minimum experience. Like we haven't done. We just got like it all happened. Like I text you guys at like 1:30.
Yeah.
Got there by 2.
Because I hear emergency vet. That starts with a 5.
Yeah, 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starts there.
No, this one. Well, I don't know because my wife got there
Yeah,
and relieved me. But I think it's like $200-$300.
Hey, that's.
But that's just to start.
That's just to start.
Now, if she has, if it ends up that she has a lot of problems, and we'll know hopefully by the morning, then start ratcheting that up.
When I see you tomorrow and you look depressed, and then you tell me Molly's alive, I'll know what the bill was.
I hate to say this, and I love dogs. I
Oh
do.
boy.
Well, no. I feel like I mean, I'm a huge dog guy. You know that. You are
Yes.
too. But can we all relate to the feeling of the overriding feeling of financial doom with things like this?
Yes.
Because you don't know what's going on and you're worried for the dog.
You just see the dollar signs.
But the overriding, I hate to say this, but the overriding thing I was thinking was about money, and that's terrible.
It is.
But we all experience
Do we all
it.
do that?
With one of my mom's dogs, she tore a ligament in her back, in like one of her back legs, and so she was totally lame on that leg, and she was basically going to be 3-legged unless she got a surgery to repair it. And it was like a $5,000 surgery.
Yeah.
And then she tore the other one. And my mom's like,
Wait, that's
what?
not funny.
She's like, well, what am I going to do?
Well, I had a guy that had that same thing happen to his bulldog.
Yeah.
And he just let it. He just
So
let
did
it go.
my mom.
The dog limped.
And the dog, for a while, didn't put any pressure, and then eventually put some pressure, and then had enough scar tissue. She was just kind of okay and not really running around as much. And so, 2 ways to go about it.
2 years ago, my first bulldog passed away, and I took her to the vet. I knew she wasn't doing well, right? And so I took her to the vet. She had some lumps on her. I was like, hey, can we just, are we doing all right here? Like, what's just kind of a general what have you? And then I was wondering if I could just get her on some painkillers, anti-inflammatory. She was like 13. Right. And it was like, let's just, the end of her life. And they were like, well, no, we have to run all these different tests to determine what sort of medicine we can give her. I'm like, we know she's dying. Like can't you just give me something to kind of help just ease her for the last few months? And they were very persistent and were like, no, we can't do it unless we run all these tests. And it was like $500. And I was like, well, no, I'm not doing that. And I took her home. She died the next day at home. And believe me, I was devastated and it was rough, but you know how pissed I would have been if I had ran $500 worth of tests to tell me that my dog was sick when I knew she was sick and dying, and then she died the next day? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to go black market on that.
Yeah. I'm glad that my dog knew. I think my dog deep down was like, I got you,
Don't you think there's some black market dog pain meds out there?
There's ways around
You can pick up?
We can talk.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We can talk.
Yeah, well, anyway, sorry about being late there. Let's, did you do a poll question?
No, we haven't
what
polled.
if
We
I-
did not.
We
What
haven't
are we,
polled. We just were combine.
what are we,
We do need to know whether you were listening to us on your way in.
I was not, but when I parked,
But we didn't think you were.
well, when I parked, I thought, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to come in and I'm going to ask them what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I have a radio in my car. Why did I not?
We honestly, we spent
This
5
was the
minutes
last discussion
debating
we just had.
whether or not you were, if there was ever going to be a time you were going to listen, it was going to be this,
Yeah.
and we still said no.
I didn't listen.
We made fun of Joe Fisher. We talked a little combine
Okay.
and break up the Blazers.
Why Joe Fisher?
Joe
Catching
Fisher.
strays right out of the gate?
Joe Fisher believes that he can run like a 5.23 40. There's always that one guy that sees someone run at the combine. He's like, I can do that.
Okay.
No, he can't.
Are we going to test that?
If you want him to blow an Achilles, but we don't need to test him because he can't. But
Well, I think we should. I think we got to know what he can run.
he's not running that.
If he's claiming,
He's
you
claiming.
make big claims, you got to put your money where your mouth
He
is.
did make big claims, so that's what you missed.
Okay,
Us
well,
debating about you listening.
I really don't know why I wasn't listening. I drove here with the sound off, just thinking. I was thinking,
I
you
understand.
know how it is. You're worried about your dog, and
Hey, we all get it.
so let's get to going. I do have a poll question. It's already up there, so we can get to that, and it does pertain to the combine. So we'll work it out.
Yeah.
And today's headlines coming up next. It's 3:20 on the Fan. right. We're ready to go. 3:25. Today's headlines stolen by a Kelce brother.
Yeah. And a rumor confirmed.
And Mike Evans as well. We'll get to that in a second. What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't see the Nick Foles quote?
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean,
Yeah. I was watching it on ESPN, half paying attention,
Yeah.
but I did catch that. And I don't even think they caught it.
So, the rumor is that Nick Foles is swinging to the knees.
Like yours truly.
Yeah, the Big D Nick is his nickname. That was always the rumor. Well, Kelce confirmed it today at his retirement
Well,
speech.
he just snuck it in there.
Yeah.
Like it's this sad, somber, reflective retirement press conference.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, the guy with the biggest D on the team.
He said he'll never forget Nick
asked
Foles
to-
having the best game of his life on the biggest stage and also having the biggest D
he
on the
said
team.
the guy with the biggest D on the team asked to run this play. That last play in the Super Bowl.
So, dude, the man's a national.
And they didn't-
No,
Like nothing.
No.
I was watching on ESPN. They
It's
didn't.
just-
I don't know. I don't even think they caught it.
it's just Jason Kelce.
I mean, I don't
It's
know what
just-
they would do, but
I mean, yeah, I
guess-
guess you could try to beep it. I mean, is D like? I think you can say D on ESPN.
you can.
I think you
At
can.
9:00 in the morning.
I think you can. I just think it's frowned upon, but I don't think there's any FCC violations or
Oh,
anything like that.
You should say it now.
Why can't we say it?
Yeah,
then?
that's-
I
Well,
don't
you
get that.
can
I
say
think
it
you
if you're
can.
referring to a name.
I was all confused
Get
a
it.
couple months ago when I said it and you guys were like, whoa, you better dump that. I was like,
Well,
wait, of
it's-
all the things we say, I can't say that?
Well, you can say like the late NASCAR driver Dick Trickle. You can say that.
Sure, if you're
but
saying the name.
But you can't tell someone to suck your.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You can't.
Which,
You remember when we had an FCC meeting once?
wow.
Where like the corporate lawyer got on and we had a whole conversation about what we can and can't say. And I'm telling you, there is a lot of it.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Well, just Friday we were talking about changing the name of the station.
Yeah, to 1080 to the jock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the D word also came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
1080 the Richard.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll get to him in today's headlines. But here's our poll question on X at 1080 The Fan, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Friday, the question was, what is the biggest red flag from a potential first-round pick at the Combine? Let's see. 52% said avoids medical exam.
Yeah. That would be mine.
26% said conspiracy theorist.
That was the guy that didn't believe in space.
Yeah, but I guess he had a good Combine.
Yeah. So,
Everybody
hey.
likes that guy.
Hey, you can be an idiot if you run fast.
19% said shuns it altogether, and only 3% said a slower than expected 40 time.
Yeah.
That was Friday.
Well, and we were talking again, the 40 time. I mean, there was an article today I read saying how antiquated the 40 time is.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
So
like,
now they test for like explosiveness.
explosiveness. I
and-
mean, look, the 40 time is great. I mean, we had someone break the 40 for heaven's sakes. But we knew he was fast. All the Texas receivers are fast. All the LSU receivers are fast. Wiggins, the corner out of Clemson, he ran 4.2 like 8. Like, yeah, it's confirmed that you're fast, but like with the Troy Franklin one, everything I was reading was, yeah, he ran 4.41 and is a big, long strider, but in all the drills, they have like the GPS measurements, whereas Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State, he was running 45 miles an hour faster in every drill than Troy Franklin was. So when Franklin looks stiff and rigid and doesn't bend well, but runs great in a straight line, meanwhile, is it Keon Coleman, the receiver out of Florida State, who ran, I think he ran like 4.58, and people were like, well, that's slow. But in actual football drills, he looked great and was fast. And they're saying that Coleman made himself money and Franklin may have hurt himself, even though the 40 time would lead you to believe that Franklin was a much better prospect.
All
So
right.
they're saying that some of the way we're judging guys now, like the bench press doesn't matter anymore. Half the people don't even do it. They're saying the 40 is kind of getting there.
So today's question is, which Duck or Husky player will be the best in the NFL? Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Rome Odunze, or Troy Franklin? Vote hard.
Odunze certainly.
Talk with your helmet.
Odunze had one of the better like everyone apparently is universally just in love with him. He did everything.
Well, he'll go the highest. Right?
Like
you
people
think?
think
those
that he
four?
has solidified himself as probably a top 8 to 10 pick.
Is staying out there to do a drill over and over again until you get the time you want, is that a try-hard move?
Is that what he did?
It's what
The
he did
three-cone
last
drill. He
Yeah.
didn't like his time, and so he's like, I'm not leaving until I get 6.2 seconds or whatever he wanted.
It's cheesy, but stupid GMs will be like, "That's the dog."
That's
That's
my
the kind
guy.
of guy we want.
But
to
he
build our
went out
franchise around.
and from they do a production, what you did on the field versus your athletic score, and because like Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't do anything, but Odunze solidified himself as the number one guy that actually tested. He's not going to go number one at receiver. That's still going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. But a lot of people think that
he goes ahead of Neighbors now.
With that, we'll see what Neighbors does because he didn't do anything. Neighbors will have his
Right.
pro day. He'll have his chance to blow everyone away. But Odunze helped himself and look, the guy was going to be a top 15 pick no matter what. But he certainly helped himself and made him some money by going in and competing. People down there raved about him.
All right, vote hard on X at 1080 The Fan. Today's headlines including the retirement of Jason Kelce. Coming up next, here's Buck. Jackson Powers Johnson would have the best career of the players from those two schools, and that may be true.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
there's
I should have put him on there.
there's a lot of people that very much like him. I've read some dissenters on him that it's a 1-year guy and that maybe the knee bend, but he played great this year and looked really good in the drills, and he's just a big physical mauler. I really like Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm still going to go with Odunze. I just think he's everything you could want in a receiver. So whether you want to do Devontae Adams, Larry Fitzgerald, I just think he is. I think he's big time. So take your pick there. Flip of the coin between Powers Johnson and Odunze.
Where's Odunze projected? Who needs a receiver in the top 8?
Well, I've seen Tennessee as a guy as a place that.
Oh God,
I know
with Will Levis.
Let's look at the old draft order and see where we're at. But I mean, there's going to be a run on receivers. Although, this you could actually say that with receiver and like offensive line, there's a lot of those guys. So the question becomes. Like there's 3 top quarterbacks, there's 3 top receivers, I think there's probably more like 4 tackles. But what do you think the drop-off is from those guys to the next group? Because there's a lot of receivers. Like you're going to be able to find quality receivers in the 2nd, 3rd, even in the 4th round. And I would say the same thing with offensive tackles. There's a bunch of them. But with like Odunze, so you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., you look at Malik Neighbors, you look at Odunze. They're saying that those are the 3 guys. Like whichever order you have them in, those are the 3 guys, and there's a drop-off. But how big is that drop-off? So if you think that there's not a ton of difference between Odunze and let's say, I don't know, like Troy Franklin, who many people thought, he could be the 4th, or one of the 2 Texas receivers, or Coleman out of Florida State, or, one of these other guys. If you think you can get one of those guys in the 2nd round, and there's not much difference between the top 3, but you do think that there's a difference in edge rusher, or you think there's a drop off in corner, then you may decide to go with one of those other positions, knowing that there's value later on in the draft. This is why the draft is such a unique thing. It's not just about, hey, we think this is the best player, or we think this is the best receiver. It's about having a strategy, having to fill in your needs and value. You hear that all the time. Where is the value pick to be made? In a draft with a lot of receivers, a lot of O-linemen, you can get 2 very different strategies with a team having to get up and get one of the top 3 guys, or being like, we can address that later on, and let's go get a player where there's not an abundance of them in the draft.
Well, all these drafts kind of blend together, but was it last year's draft where they had like 15 receivers in the first 3 rounds or something?
I think it was.
Or was
last
that
year.
2 years ago?
It was either last year or 2 years ago. I remember that. Yeah, it was like a record. Like everyone and their grandmother. And look, there's a lot of good receivers coming out. There's just like...
Yeah, so last year you had Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yep.
Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jonathan Mingo, Jaden Reed, Rashid Rice, Marvin Mims, all in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... It feels like we are living in a heyday of receivers and good young receivers. And what's weird is the best receiver to come out of that is in like the 5th round, I think.
Puka
Nacua.
Yep.
He was a 5th round guy. So
God, there were a ton of receivers.
Yes.
I'm still scrolling.
Rice, you mentioned Rashid Rice, who ended up being a nice receiver for the Chiefs. He was what? You said he was in the 2nd round?
Yeah, see, he went 55th, second round.
Yeah.
Another possible team for Odunze is Mel Kiper has him to the Giants at 6 if they were to go that high with a receiver.
Ugh.
Although there's some
they
talk
don't have a quarterback either.
No, there's some talk that they want to move up and maybe grab a quarterback.
Bo Nix.
Well, he was a guy again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt here, but I don't think from reading enough of these, it doesn't sound like Bo Nix helped himself. I don't necessarily killed himself.
He was on the one I was. You never know.
Exactly.
The one I read said that he was the best of all the quarterbacks. They gave him an A.
They gave him an A?
Well, they were saying that Nix and Penix both, we've talked about this before, but, quarterbacks going to the combine, you're just kind of looking for red flags.
Yes.
And there weren't any with those 2 guys.
Yeah.
I guess both guys tested out really well. And, there were no red flags raised like with, I don't know, I guess I read Bucky Irving.
Yeah, Bucky wasn't
some red flag.
He wasn't super athletic. He wasn't very fast.
Because he's so small, they were hoping that he would test out, explosive, and He didn't.
No.
But Nick's, that's why these things are so dumb. I don't know. I read a thing where Keaton Slovis is now the next hot thing.
Right.
But then at the very end, they're
How
like,
many
well,
teams did he play for?
oh, a million. But at the very end of it, they were like, oh, Keaton Slovis did great and maybe improved his stock more than anybody. And then at the very end, the last line was, probably still won't get drafted. But I'm like, what? What are we doing? What are we even doing here?
Well, supposedly, like, of the quarterbacks, right? McCarthy moved himself up.
Yes,
Everyone
he got into the first round.
Everyone loved J.J. McCarthy, and that he may have, and I guess maybe this is why they view him as a one of the losers, is the idea that Nix is now a borderline first round guy. That towards the end of last year, people had him as a top 10 pick. And now you're hearing, I think it was Mel Kiper was on there today yakking, saying that Nix is going to be that borderline last guy picked in the first round, or does someone jump up to get him because they can control that fifth year? Remember, when you draft a guy in the first round, you get him for the 5 years control as opposed to the 4. And so if you do think that Nix could grow and develop into your quarterback in the future, it behooves you to get him in the first round as opposed to wait for the second. So, again, is he a loser? No, it's just that he didn't vault. Like, McCarthy apparently has cemented himself as a first round draft pick for whatever reason, and Nix did not. Penix did, Nix didn't necessarily. That's why I said it's weird. And it's weird, and then supposedly he didn't really help himself, but he didn't hurt himself.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The other thing too is
it's all subjective.
One more thing. One more thing.
Yeah.
That bothers me. Xavier Worthy.
Yes.
So he breaks the all-time 40 record.
4-2-1.
4-2-1. Beating
fast.
John Ross.
Yes.
Okay, by the way, John Ross wasn't any good.
Yeah, he sucked.
Xavier Worthy, I think I watched enough Texas football to not be misremembering this. But I feel like in college, they were always talking about how big he was. 6'1", physical.
Yeah.
Dude, he was
tiny.
He's not big at all.
No.
Why do colleges do this?
Well, the worst one about this, did you see Braylon Trice?
No.
So the Washington edge rusher, who we were told first round pick, they listed Trice at 270. Trice weighed in at like 235.
Why do they do this? What is the point?
I don't know. And if you look at Xavier Worthy, he's built. It's Troy Franklin. He's very, very thin.
So my first thought was of course I wasn't watching the combine, but when I read that Xavier Worthy is the one who broke the 40 record, I'm like, wait a minute, he's like, I thought he was like this big dude who and so then I go watch the 40. I'm like, he's tiny.
He's tiny.
He's like 5'11".
Well,
he's not that small.
Not that small, but he's lanky. Yeah, he's not.
Am I wrong that at like watching him in college, they were always like, 6'1", 2, physical. Am I wrong about that?
No, I don't think you're wrong.
That's how they always sort of talked about that guy. But
when you get to the Underwear Olympics, you actually find out what the
that's why they have the combine, because all these stupid colleges lie. Bo Nix isn't even religious. Come to find out.
I think he is.
Oh.
That I do believe he is.
All right, today's headlines including Jason Kelce and a late-breaking bit of news from the NBA coming up next on The Fan.
The Fan is live.
I just have to ask this because it crossed my mind as I watched him.
Yeah.
And I thought his press conference and what he wrote was delightful. It was very well thought out, and you could tell he was very emotional, obviously, and it was good. I like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
There's a butt coming.
But if he is not Travis Kelce's brother, and the whole Taylor Swift thing doesn't happen,
Yeah.
is he having a press conference?
Yes. Because I think even before any of that, he was more famous than his brother. Like, he is a Philly institution. When they won the Super Bowl, he dressed up in the whole...
So maybe it just wouldn't have been covered
yes,
way it was covered today?
Well, I'll say this. The last couple years of his career, he became a public figure because of his personality. And then you add his personality
and his brother.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's a huge personality, and then you add his brother's personality and the podcast and the fame, and then the Taylor Swift stuff on top of it. You're not wrong in saying that the coverage, the press conference, all of that, there would have been a press conference. Would it have been covered and we would be getting quotes from it? No.
It would just been local.
It would have been a nice little press conference, and a Hall of Famer would have walked away.
Okay.
But yes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a lot of it was like, dude, this guy, he's just sort of, and I know he's a great football player, but he's a center, no offense.
Not taken.
And I just feel like oftentimes when guys like that retire, you don't hear boo, but I mean, you read a headline about it, but that's
Sure.
about it.
Yeah. Well, like,
But he's become a huge deal because of his antics and the Travis Kelce thing and the Super Bowl with he and his brother and
well, the fact
Taylor
that
Swift.
the fact you even know his name, like when I was in Denver for my brief little window, we had a center, Tom Nalen. Tom Nalen was, I think, a 3-time All-Pro, 5 or 6 different Pro Bowls, won a couple Super Bowls, obviously, in Denver, and was part of those great Broncos run games. You ever heard of Tom Nalen?
I've heard his name, yeah. I remember him. But yeah, I'm not looking at his press conference.
Exactly. Like, and for most people, if I said, who's Tom Nalen? They're like, who? He's on the radio down there in Denver now, and like I always called him Football Jesus because he had the long hair and stuff. But to your point, now Kelce better than Nalen. Don't get me wrong, but you are talking about two very, very good, very, very beloved guys that spent their entire careers in one organization, and one probably had a very nice, tasteful press conference with 10 reporters there, and he's in, you ride off into the sunset, and one, it was national news and was dropping big D energy.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that it's national news. It's just...
Well, and then again, just the shirtless and yelling and,
And he went sleeveless today.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't throw on a dress shirt for that, or he's just very Kelce. I just feel like he, in a way, has and I think he's wonderful, but he has piggybacked off of the Travis thing.
Sure.
Quite nicely.
Well,
I think he's just leaned in appropriately.
And that's what I wonder with a guy like Kelce is that's clearly him. But like with the sleeveless thing, did you lean into that because that's just who you are, or did you lean into it again because of the podcast and that the bigger personality you have? Like, we all know people that's just who they are, and then there's other people that use it to their benefit. And I don't know enough about Jason Kelce to tell you which one it is. Couldn't tell you, but I do find him delightful.
Be getting like career guidance to do more of this stuff. That like he says, after football, I want to do X, Y, Z. And then like, okay, elevate your profile. Here's how you do that. I mean, there are people who've done that.
There's more and more. There's more and more people in the world of sports that are doing that. That realize, what was it? I think it was Cam Newton was the first one that I heard say this. He goes, "Dude, I want to build a brand." And, the Kelce brand right now prints money. And when you're done making all that money in the NFL, you got to find a way to make more. And right now, that Kelce brand is on fire.
Yeah, he's definitely going to make more.
Yes.
He'll be a broadcaster.
He'll make he'll make as much, if not more, away from football than he ever did on.
Well, good on him.
Yes.
And he probably got some of those Taylor Swift media people to help him out. Like, they're genius.
Absolutely.
She was in the news again today.
What was
today?
What was T Swizzle doing?
She's related to Emily Dickinson.
Oh, I did see something about that.
They're cousins. What the hell?
I don't know.
You think her staff was just like, well, it's kind of a slow Tay-Tay news day. Let's just put this out there.
Yeah, why not?
Taylor Swift. Here's the quote. This is from Jason Kelce today. He said, quote, "I won't forget Nick Foles having the game of his life on the biggest stage possible. The biggest on the team," starts with a D, 4-letter word.
Yep.
going up to Doug Peterson and asking for the Philly special, and Doug Peterson having the biggest balls in the stadium to say, "Yeah, let's do it." End
Jason
quote.
effing Kelce.
Yeah, so the biggest
Yeah.
ween on the team.
Yeah. Anyone that can work in that into the middle of your Hall of
Your
Fame
retirement
retirement
speech,
speech, come on. You think, yeah, there's
That's
a
Nick
reason.
Foles. What do you think?
I think
How do you
Nick,
think he felt about that?
I think he was happy. You know,
He's probably like,
he's like, yeah.
Turns to his wife and winks.
It's like, I got this. Well, that's been the rumor for years. So
Okay.
now confirmed.
Yeah.
He's full Shenko.
Yeah. Well, his wife's. Yeah, I'm just kind of.
You okay?
Well, I'm getting caught up on my Nick Foles' wife.
Oh, is he? I
Information here.
couldn't tell you he was hitched or not.
Yeah, he's got a family. He's got little kids and stuff.
I don't know what Nick. He's not in the league anymore, is he?
I don't think so.
I think he was a backup somewhere or practice squad guy somewhere last season, but I don't think.
I can't remember
this
with the
most recent one.
Colts bumming around,
I think that might have been his last one.
but I don't remember him this year. Yeah, last one. But yeah, he didn't play this last year. So he's with the Colts.
Good on that guy. Looks like his lady is lovely.
Oh, I'm sure.
Perhaps somebody he met.
Oh, you going before?
Yeah, like she kind of just looks like she's very.
She looks like
What's the word?
she looks like the college girlfriend, and maybe not the
Right.
The
She's
you know,
definitely not the
Russ Wilson
the upgrade supermodel
Oh no, yeah,
type. She's very.
that's she's
Down to
beautiful,
earth.
but
Yeah.
that's a high school college sort of sweetheart move. Well, and to be fair,
Her brother was an NFL tight end, Evan Moore.
Really?
I remember Evan Moore, Stanford quarterback, or excuse me, tight end.
He was briefly Foles' teammate on the Eagles, so maybe that's how they met.
Nick Foles.
Huh.
I don't think Nick was ever. He was never upgrade material. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta
Stick with what you got there.
Well, you gotta. Yeah, I know he won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't his team. Like that. Like the Carson Wentz was eligible for the Russell Wilson upgrade. Nick Foles, it's you know, you dance with the girl that you brought. You know, I don't think he ever got the contract or the fame to fully just upgrade.
It's true.
Yeah,
Stays in his lane.
there's
I
levels.
respect that.
There's levels to that game. Now Tom Brady, on the other hand, Russ Wilson, that's the upgrade.
Except Brady already had Giselle.
Mr. Unlimited.
Right?
Well, no, we had the one gal before that.
Oh no, he was dating.
Was like he had Moynihan or something, and
Bridget Moynihan.
yeah,
Was that all?
he bumped up and
I'd have punted on her too.
he bumped up to argue the most famous model in the world.
Hey, Red Danny.
And now he's just sad and lonely.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You imagine what's going on at the Brady residence? Good Lord, he somehow has gotten more famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's another one that's
Yeah.
pretty good about his brand.
keeping it out there.
He'll stay in the headlines.
Yep.
All right. Well, rest in peace, Jason Kelce. He's out. Retires at 36. Presser, I thought was a little much, but okay, I get it. And he's one of the greatest centers of all time. As a matter of fact, the Pro Football Focus bros put together, they have a list out there, and I looked at it. The top 3 centers they had ever, Chuck Bednarik, Travis Frederick, and Mike Webster.
Oh,
Those were the top 3 they
they
had.
went
On.
Frederick, all right, the old Cowboy center. Well, I
Yep.
guess he's not even old, huh? I always go Darmani Dawson, the old Steelers guy.
He was on the list.
Was really, really good. And Mike Webster is probably the gold standard. I feel bad for him because have you ever seen the story of Mike Webster?
Yeah, didn't he?
Well, he's the one that
He's dead, right?
Yeah, he's the one that brought CTE to the
Yeah.
forefront.
Killed
It's-
himself.
It's really bad. Like he had just his
Hell of a
story
center,
is-
though.
Hell of a center. Yes, he was for all the Steel Curtain teams.
All right. A little breaking news out of the NBA. And your Blazers putting together a win streak. You guys probably don't like that.
I'm not worried about
I'm
it.
guessing.
Nor am I, but
it's 2 wins.
they better
wouldn't
lose
be.
tonight.
Okay. That's next. 4:00 on the Fan.
Fan.
All right. Welcome back. 406, Rop and Sook.
By the way, someone, Vancouver Ford text line, sent this in, and I owe Nick Foles an apology.
Yes, you do.
I did not think that he was worthy of the model upgrade when it comes to the significant other. Nick, Super Bowl ring and career earnings, $87 million.
Right.
If Nick wanted to upgrade and go with the Instagram hot, and we know what he's packing, he was more than capable of doing so.
Yeah, you do owe him an apology.
I owe him an apology. I was not familiar with your game.
I saw that text too, and I saw 87 million. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, didn't he, like with the Eagles, didn't Chip Kelly make him a lot of money?
Yeah.
He got a contract right after that.
Yeah, Chip made him some good cash, man. But still, I mean,
Well,
because he signed that one for looks like $39 million. He didn't see it all, but 30 of it was guaranteed. So
yeah, and then he bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
Won a Super Bowl. What an interesting career, Nick Foles. I mean, if you really want to break it down,
Yeah.
quarterbacks, like that's an anomaly. Like that's an outlier.
because
That dude.
and yet he'll go down. I mean, he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, in Philly.
In Philly. I mean, he's a legend.
So somebody texted in he made $87.5 million in his career. Do you think that that's more or less than Travis and Jason Kelce? I mean, not combined. I just mean because I looked it up.
Gosh, I mean, I would assume both of those have made more money, but I mean, quarterbacks get paid. So let's go. Kelce played 13 years. He didn't start getting paid probably until year 6.
You talking about Jason?
So he probably didn't start getting paid until at least 7 or 8. You know what? I'm going to say he made less money than Nick Foles.
That is correct. Only $81.7 million.
Yeah, I was going to say because it's like centers don't get paid. I mean, they're just not a big salary position. And again, it takes a while because I think he was like a 6th round pick.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, what's the most he ever made in a year? Do you know?
I can look that up for you.
Yeah,
And how about
Foles?
No, we're talking about
Or
Jason
Kelce?
Kelce now.
Jason Kelce.
How about Travis Kelce?
Boy, I would assume that he made more. Okay, again, he probably hasn't.
He did not.
He probably hasn't been paid until fairly recently.
Travis has made $76.9 million. In his
Interesting.
career. So Travis 76.9, Jason 81.7, Foles 87.5, T Swizzle 500 million.
Boy, I'll tell you what. This just is the confirmation. Be a quarterback. If you're going to play football,
Or a pop star.
yes, be the most famous woman on the planet, or be a quarterback and be an okay one.
And
And
the
I
most
say-
the most Jason ever made was $14.2 million in a
Yeah.
season. That was 2 years ago.
Just 2 years ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say. So like,
Yeah, I
again,
mean, he didn't make anything over 6 until 2008. Like the first 8 years of his career,
Yep.
he was at most $6 million.
Well, remember, like when you're one of both Kelce brothers, neither one of them were 1st round picks, and when you come in the league as a 4th, 5th year guy or a 4th, 5th round pick, you're not making any money until year 5, and even then, a lot of times you're going to have to outplay that second contract, and then by the time you get to year 8, maybe 9, you get paid, which is why so many guys now, it's like it's about the money. Yeah, for a lot of these guys it is, because you only have maybe 1-2 contracts where you're able to grab your cash. Like Snead is going to get the non-exclusive franchise tag from Kansas City, and I think if he plays on that, it's 19.8 if I remember correctly, but he was a 4th round pick. So here we got one of the best young corners in the NFL, and as a 4th round pick, I'll bet you that he has made in those 4 years, he's made probably what, $4 million?
Yeah,
Like,
probably about right.
yeah. So like when you look at a guy like that and you say, oh, why wouldn't you stay in Kansas City no matter what? Well,
He wants money,
he wants money, and you can't blame him because
and he's worth it.
he doesn't have it. Like I'm looking here. Yeah. So his career so far, he has made a little over $5 million, which is fine. But you $5 million, you cut that at least in half between all the taxes and fees that you have. Dude, that guy has not set himself up for life. So if you're Snead, you're just not only are you don't want to play on the 1 year 19.8. You're trying to find a 5-6 year deal that's going to bring with you 35-40 million in guarantee to take care of yourself.
And he'll probably get that.
I would think so.
Don't you think?
I would think. I mean, Kansas City is placed the non-exclusive tag, and they're saying, go out and negotiate, see what the market is. We have a right to match, and if not, hopefully we can agree to a term, or if not, we get 2 first-round picks for him.
Real quick on the NBA before we get to our stock watch, the Bucks have suddenly won 5 in a row, and they're actually playing defense.
Yeah.
But as they get set to take on the Clippers tonight, I believe, Giannis is out with an Achilles injury.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you,
And it's not like it's not a
They're
blown
just-
Achilles, but they called it an Achilles injury. They said he was warming up in shoot around and everything, and then he cut it short,
that's not.
and he's not playing tonight.
Look.
I remember that happening to one Kevin Durant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and remember Richard Sherman had this, and again, I'm not an expert on Achilles injuries. That's the one, normally when there's an injury, I'm like, oh yeah, I've had that. That's the one I haven't had, knock on whatever Formica this is. But I remember Richard Sherman playing, and he said they told him that he had a partially torn Achilles and that he just was going to play until it officially ruptured. He's like, dude, the amount of time that this is going to take to heal. So that's a little spooky if I'm a Milwaukee fan.
How do you think Dame feels about that?
I think he's probably pooping his little Milwaukee hiking shorts right about now. Well, and this is like one of those, we were just talking about this. Who was the baseball player that had the UCL, and they were like, well, it's probably not Tommy John. We just
Matt Brash.
Matt
that's
Brash. Right. Look, Matt Brash may be fine, but I think we've all been around the block. When you hear UCL Tommy John potentially, you're like, yeah. Whether it's a week from now or a month from now, that thing's going to blow. I feel that way about Achilles.
Yeah.
If you give me a 6'11" guy and you tell me he's got a strained Achilles, I'm just like, yeah. I'll see you in the first round of the playoffs when that thing rolls up into the back of your knee.
Well, have you ever blown out Achilles?
No, it's the
You
one.
haven't?
It's the one
Yeah.
thing I haven't had, and it terrifies me.
Yeah, Cleveland had it like 4 times, right?
It ended his
He
career.
did both, yeah.
Yeah.
Cam was on the precipice of being the highest paid tight end.
Yeah, his
in the
next
NFL.
contract, he was basically due to be the number 1 paid tight end in the NFL.
And he blew it. And then he came back, and this was back when Achilles were even harder to come back from. Comes back, rehabs it, gets it better, goes back in, and is rebuilding his career, and he snaps the other one, and that ended it.
Well, I've had some Achilles pain before, and I tell you, that is terrifying, because then you're like, well, that means that I step wrong,
Yeah.
and it's going to pop.
Yeah. See,
But it has not.
Dre
so.
Greenlaw.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that dude just popped it walking onto the field in the Super Bowl.
I had a
It's just
buddy of mine
crazy.
whose wife popped it playing pickleball, and I was like, pickleball? And I was like, that's what you get for. He goes, dude, she just took a step. He goes, we were playing pickleball, but she was walking on the pickleball court, and it blew. It's just,
Here's what it says.
Ugh.
Antetokounmpo tried to go through pregame warm-ups, but was unable to finish. The injury has been bothering him for the last 2 to 3 games, per Doc Rivers. He's mostly been healthy this season, now missing just 3 games in total. So he will not play tonight.
Well, that is something to keep an eye on.
He might as well join the Blazers if he's going to be hurt.
Or the Memphis Grizzlies.
I mean, well, that's true too.
I'm not sure. I mean, look, in a battle of neither one wants to win and everyone's hurt, Memphis outdid Portland.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Took overtime
Jackson's
on them.
out there, right? Isn't Jackson out? I mean, not that I watch those games, but
I think Jackson was out there, but
He
he
is
might be
out
the
there.
only one.
well, the Blazers shut down. I was looking at the injury report for tonight. They shut down Jeremy Grant now.
Yeah, everyone's it's
Yeah, tonight, Grant, Ayton, Kamara, and Thibault are all out. Of course, you still have Scoot, Shaden, and Brogdon also out.
So who's playing?
Great question.
Who is their starting 5 now? If you don't have Ayton or Grant,
Well, we're only about 45 minutes from tip-off, so I bet I can find that for you.
yeah, I can't wait to hear this.
so we're probably gonna getting like what?
Repair.
Yeah, we're
Does he
getting
start?
Simons,
Walker.
They just signed that Donalo Banton, so he's out there. You got Jabari Walker, Duop Reith.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a big Reith night.
Reith starts now.
Are we getting a Chris Murray sighting maybe at the 2 guard?
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
take
Well,
take
your bet is safe.
Take your pick. Yeah, like
The
a lot
Blazers got pissed they won 2 games over the weekend.
a lot of people were sending me like the sweating emoji after this,
Nah.
and I was like, dude, please.
Not sweating that one.
Dude, you won 2 in a row. Trust me. Management immediately placed the call down. I was like, we need some more guys out, and we need them out now.
That's right.
You're at the point in the season where no one, and I mean no one, wants to win ball games because for every win that you have, it just hurts you more and more. I mean, you're not catching the Pistons, you're not catching the Wizards,
So
but
last night, or I guess did they play Saturday? Memphis.
They played.
They
It
went
was
with,
Friday, Saturday. They were off
Yeah.
yesterday, and they
Yeah.
play again tonight.
They went with Simons, Reith, Grant, Murray, and Kamara. So Grant is now out.
Okay, I've got them for you. Tonight's
Walker
starting
is in there?
five.
Yeah. Okay. What is it?
Anthony Simons.
Yeah.
Delano Banton.
Banton. Okay.
Chris Murray. Jabari Walker. And Duop Reith.
That's tasty right there.
God, freaking Kamara's got to be pissed.
Well, Kamara's out with injury.
Oh, you said he was out too.
He's
Yeah,
out.
he's
I
out
was gonna say
too.
they benched him.
No.
He scored 15
They shut him
the other
down.
night.
They shut him down.
He can't even crack this lineup.
And they're playing against the second best team in the West.
Wait.
I think the spread's 14.5.
Really?
Yeah, last I saw it was 14, but it might have crept up even more.
Dude, do not tempt me. Although I was
just
texting with
telling
Buck
you.
yesterday about the live Warriors line. Did
That
you see
was
the Warriors
really
line?
something.
Did you see what happened yesterday?
No.
The Warriors lost by 52.
Yeah.
They were down at half by 42.
Sure.
I looked at the live line at half because I happened to be watching. I'm like,
Little tasty.
plus 38.
Well, Rob had this
Ooh.
idea when we had the Lakers comeback last week.
Yeah.
That if you just picked any live line when it was like plus 30, like you'd
Yeah.
never lose, right?
dude,
These teams
teams-
don't lose by that much.
Yeah, well, they lost by 52.
I will tell you that. What was that? You said it was 42 at the time
Well, the
when you were looking at the
spread
line?
was 38.
Yeah, but they were losing by 42.
Correct.
If I'm in that situation, you're like, hey man, you got a sawbuck. I'm taking the. If you give me 38
Yes.
points, I'm taking it.
the obvious play is to
obvious.
take the points there.
Yeah.
Who could have thought that they would have lost by 52?
That game was tied 21-21,
Yes.
and then at one point it was like 81-32.
That's correct.
I don't know how that happens.
Dude, Boston went on a 61-17 run.
Like you see those things and like
That's unbelievable.
you see that in girls basketball a lot, right? Where it's there's some team and they're playing like Tallahassee JUCO, and that's the sort of beatdown that happens. You don't think that occurs with Golden State? And was Steph playing?
Yeah. He went
He had
0
one of
for
his
9.
Yeah, he had one of his I think his worst first half ever,
Yeah.
something like that.
They said it was his worst first half he'd ever he went 0 for 9 from 3 in the first half. Worst half of his career.
That hurts a little bit. That hurts.
But they battled.
They also said that about 15 minutes before the game, they were talking and thought maybe we should just sag off of Jaylen Brown tonight and like force him to beat us shooting the ball. They came out and Jaylen Brown just started lighting him up shooting the ball. Really nice plan there.
Well, rough night.
Hey, look, sometimes stuff it happens.
Did you hear Kerr after the game?
No, what did he say?
He got up there and he goes, well, guys, one of those games where it just probably could have gone either way and little things here and there, and we cleaned a couple of those. He was being funny about it. He was like, yeah, obviously you just flush it and move on. But
Yeah, he did say it didn't matter what we did tonight.
we were
going to
not
get our butts
beating
kicked.
Boston.
Yeah, we were
Well,
beating them.
do you think Steve Kerr cares? They just gave him a $35 million extension.
I do think he cares, yes. He's the coach.
Well, they
He's
did.
paid to care.
Probably softens the blow though.
Yeah. Someone's like, hey, Steve, you just took a 52-point beat down. He goes, did you see my $35 million extension?
Well, I do often wonder how often.
17 and a half per year, crotch chop. Boom.
I just wonder how often NBA coaches really care. Like I was listening to Jason Kidd. They got beat last night or Sunday.
Yeah.
They lost to Philly without Joel Embiid.
Indeed.
And Dallas is trying to climb up the West, and they looked terrible. And Jason Kidd after the game was like, well, I'm like, dude, that guy doesn't give a rip.
He's
He does
their
not
coach?
give a rip. Yes, he's still their coach.
I didn't realize that.
And by the way, you want some odds on next coach fired?
Go there.
Yes,
That's
because
a good one.
he's probably not
Yeah.
really you probably get some good odds on him right now because they're still a good team.
But they're sitting there like 8th.
Dude, they looked. I watched them. I watched some NBA yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah, Warriors, Celts, and then we had Mavs, Sixers, and then later was Knicks, Cavs was a pretty good game.
Interesting. I think
Yeah.
on
Look at me.
You might want to circle this in. I believe it's Thursday.
What
We
do we
get Nuggies,
Mhm.
Celts.
Oh, okay.
You don't care.
I
mean, those
do. Those are the two best teams.
They're the two
probably.
best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
So
Oklahoma City, Phoenix was on last night too, but I didn't see that.
yeah, Phoenix lost, and now Phoenix is closer to 10th than they are to 4th.
Yeah.
They've taken a
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Blazers running out the. So you said it's Reith, Simons, Murray,
Jabari Walker
and then the band.
Walker, and
and
Banton.
Delano Banton.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! All right, our stock watch
That's
is next
right.
on the Fan.
When you need to take stock of your rights, 1-800-DIVORCE is on your side. Call 1-800-DIVORCE today.
All right, let's get to Mr. Buckster over there with the stock watch for this week.
Yeah, we're going to start at the NFL Combine, and I know we were talking a little bit earlier about Bo Nix and his draft status. Here is what Mel Kiper had to say about that.
He's 24 years of age. Will Levis last year I thought was going to go in the top 5. He dropped to the second round. He didn't have the great year because he was beat up and they didn't have the line, but he was 24. And you think about where we are with Bo and that offense and coming out of 2 years at Oregon, he doesn't show great arm strength. He played in a great system with great players around him, both at wide receiver, O-line, and running back. And he's going to go, he's a borderline first-round pick, Heather. He's a borderline first. Somebody may trade back into the first to get him. At worst, it goes around where Will Levis did, who actually Tennessee traded up in the second round to take Will Levis. Okay, so he'll go, I think, late 1, early 2.
So regardless of where Bo Nix goes, some mixed reviews from his combine showing and just for, his tape and what he does. Buy or sell, you would be comfortable as an NFL GM handing Bo Nix the keys to your franchise.
Gosh, no, I wouldn't. There's not many quarterbacks that I would be comfortable handing him to the keys.
Well, define comfortable. You mean
basically deciding that, let's say that late first, early second spot, that you're a team that's in the market, you're comfortable making him that guy for you.
I have no problem drafting him in the back half of the first round or early second. Does that mean that
But if you do, you think he can be a franchise guy, right?
I think he's got potential. Again, I think there's a ceiling. He's 24 going on 25 years old. I don't believe he's going to come in and light the world on fire, okay? I don't think that he's going to blossom into this unbelievable franchise guy. I do think there are some limitations, and you saw him at Oregon. But I think he's a very smart guy. I think he's a very cerebral guy. He's a very mature guy. He's a hard worker. I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. He can use his legs. But no, he's not going to make every throw you need to make. I think, to me, if you wanted to look at a comp, and I think this is a pretty good one, and this guy is a better athlete before the leg injury. Alex Smith was a real dual threat guy at Utah. I think Bo Nix can be Alex Smith. And there's nothing wrong with Alex Smith.
That's a good comp.
Alex Smith made some Pro Bowls. Alex Smith is not a tiny guy either, and Bo Nix isn't super small.
No, and Alex Smith is a guy that a lot of really good coaches trusted in the NFL.
So I was going to say, if you told me he was Alex Smith, I'd take him.
Yeah.
I like that.
So to me, that's where I'm going. And remember, it took Alex Smith a long time. To me, Bo Nix is a guy that probably needs to, everyone's like, oh, he's seen everything in college football. Cool, you haven't seen it in the NFL. If you're expecting him to go to a bad team and get thrown to the wolves, no, I wouldn't want that. But if he could go to a place and sit for half a year to a year and kind of grow and learn, I think he's better than anything like Atlanta has. I think he's better. He's a better option than some of those places. But would I want him on let's say a rebuilding team or a team like the Giants or something like that, where you're a top 10 pick and within the first month I need you to come in and play? Probably not.
So you're not comfortable with him?
I'm not comfortable handing the keys. If I'm because when you hand in the keys, you're saying, hey, you're our franchise guy for the next 5 years. We ride and died with you. No, I wouldn't do that.
I'll tell you what, Buck, the way you phrase that is perfect. That makes it a much more interesting question. Because
I think we can ascertain about where he's going to go, but would you trust him? Would you take him?
I would draft him, but that doesn't mean I'm comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
Which is why the way you phrased it was good. Yeah, he's not a slam dunk, therefore I don't know how anybody would be comfortable, but I do think that if I'm Pittsburgh or one of those teams late in the first round, I think he's got enough intangibles, and I love what you said about his athleticism. You're right about that. I think if you compare him to Alex Smith, I'm like, oh, well, that makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
If he really is or can be that. So I'm going to say not comfortable, but would take him.
Okay.
I like him.
Moving on to the big O lineman, Jackson Powers Johnson, was at the Combine as well. One of the things he got asked about in his media session was about his signature burger that is made for him at the Elkhorn Pub in Eugene.
It's Elkhorn Brewery in Eugene, Oregon. It's not a sandwich, it's a burger. It's called the Big Jack's Burger. There's a lot of stuff in it. It's a big man delight. It has, let's see. So let's start with the patties. We'll start with the bun. Really great brioche bun. Under that, we got a little bit of barbecue. We have some queso. We have some mac and cheese, some pulled pork, some bacon, 2 things of patties, and then a bun under there. And then, if you can finish that, I think the meal's probably free.
How good is
Thanks,
it?
guys. That's pretty good. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
How good is it?
Buy or sell, you'd like a bite of the Big Jack's burger.
Yeah, I'm in.
Nah, it's too much for me.
Yeah.
I
a
think
bite?
it's a little too much.
A bite? Yeah, I'll take
I would
a bite.
try a bite. I don't think I'm ordering one,
I would
though.
not order the Big Jack's burger.
You wouldn't?
No.
No, that
There's
sounded good.
There's too much going on. I got
Queso,
first off,
barbecue, pulled pork, 2 patties, brioche bun.
my big ass does not need 2 patties on anything.
I don't need to add pulled pork
I don't
to a
need,
burger.
Yeah, and the mac and cheese, and now I'm trying to blend the barbecue sauce and the queso. No, you gotta.
There's a lot going on
I gotta
there.
pick a lane there, and now I'm cutting that thing in. It's too much.
What's the name of the joint?
Elkhorn
Brewery.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
look,
look at their menu.
yeah, if you told me, hey, would you you want a bite? First off, I would need a knife and fork.
Yep.
That thing's all in my beard anyways. That thing's gonna get messy. Yeah, that's fine, a bite. But never would I would have to be so drunk to look at that and be like, this is what I'm
This
choosing
is
to
what
order.
I want right now.
That's a 23-year-old man's game.
That's like a 3 a.m. I'm going to throw what I have in my fridge together and throw it in the oven for
Wow.
a couple minutes.
Okay, here's what they say on their menu.
Okay.
Double Angus burger, cooked medium, topped with 2 slices of American cheese, 2 strips of bacon, a scoop of mac and cheese, smoked pulled pork, a drizzle of barbecue sauce, and topped with our homemade queso.
It's
That's
too
a
much.
lot.
It's just too much.
Now, you could also get the Pioneer burger,
Okay.
double Angus burger, topped with melted American cheese, lettuce, red onion, house burger sauce, toasted brioche. Boring. You could have the alcoholic elk burger.
Okay.
Which is elk burger cooked medium rare, topped with mixed greens, tomato, red onion, and garlic confit aioli.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still right now. Jax has me.
Yeah.
Next one, now this is gonna be good. We have the Maker's Mark bacon and blue burger.
Now you've already won.
Yeah, this one. Okay, so double Angus burger cooked medium, topped with griddled cheddar cheese, bacon, caramelized onions, blue cheese crumbles, mayo, and our Maker's Mark pineapple glaze.
Winner.
Yeah, I'm getting
Winner.
that one.
And look,
Sounds pretty good.
And you also have a pulled pork sandwich.
Can I just say that they just give me a single patty? Again, I don't need the double patty.
Or if I'm having a double, then I don't also need bacon and pulled pork on there.
Well, and again, are we dealing with
And mac and cheese.
Are we dealing with, and we wonder why everyone has diabetes and we're the fattest country on earth? And it's one thing like the double patty at maybe a Five Guys because it's a small thing, but if you've got 2 big fat ass patties, it's just, no.
I'm in. I like it, but I would order the black and blue burger or the
Whatever
did I
the
say?
Maker's. That's
the Maker's Mark one.
That's
I'd order that before the.
Yeah.
Okay, one more.
And then finally, LeBron James obviously achieving the 40,000 point milestone over the weekend. But this little audio clip surfaced of Kevin Garnett talking about LeBron playing against his son Bronny and whether Bronny can score points against LeBron or vice versa.
Bronny get a bucket on Bron right now?
Yeah, he can get a bucket on Bron right now.
Nope.
Yeah, he can get a bucket.
No way. Nope.
Nah, he can get a bucket on
Bron
his dad right
averaging
now.
25.
No, I didn't say he ain't. I don't care what he's doing, but he ain't sliding, playing that. It's a level.
25? Nah. Lord, 25? Lord, he dunking? He's still dunking the ball with.
I'm saying that Bronny can get a bucket on Bron.
I'm saying he can't. One rollout, get a bucket.
3 dribbles?
No way. I'm
Yeah,
talking
he
about.
can get a bucket on him.
No.
Man, come on. That little dude explosive, bro.
He is,
He
but
got
you
Bron.
seen his dad? His dad on that
Yeah,
balcony.
but
he on that new
he
juice.
ain't
That
sliding like he used to.
So I am less interested in the whether Bronny could score on Bron and vice versa, but we buy or selling that Bron's been on that balco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LeBron James is probably on every. Let's go with, and again, I'm just hypothetical. My guess is he's probably on some HGH. My guess he's on some EPO. Probably taking maybe not some full on like Trambolone or anything, but he's probably on some of that TRT. Probably got some of that going on. Probably doing some PRP mixed in there. Every sort of amino acid vitamin IV drip that you can have. He sleeps in the hyperbaric chamber. The amount of chemicals that are flowing through that man's body to do what he's doing at his age, I'm guessing that he spends more on substances in his body than the 3 of us will ever make in our careers. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So
You could have made up all those drugs. I don't know if those are real, but I believe you.
yes,
Yeah, and I think he's.
and they all are.
And a buddy of mine said today, and if he spends $1 million or $2 million or $2 million bucks masking all that, still worth it. I mean, you still
Oh,
get
for
the
sure.
return on the investment.
Most of that stuff, though, you can't even test for. So
Well, I was going to say, yeah.
There you go.
But even if he got caught, like, let's say something came out,
Sure.
no one would care.
No.
They wouldn't.
No.
It
Also,
would not
everyone,
be a big thing.
everyone would be willing to hide it for him, from Adam Silver all the way down.
Let me also say this. J.K. Dobbins was caught jogging on a treadmill like 4.5, 5 months after he tore his Achilles. And everyone's like, oh my God, these guys are coming back so much faster. Can we all just admit why they're coming back? Why Aaron Rodgers is coming back? Anybody?
Darkness retreats, right?
Yeah, darkness retreat had nothing to do with the stem cells and the HGH that you're loading. I mean, we all know.
Probably didn't get the jab.
Yeah, that's the key. But we're all like, I can't believe how fast these guys are coming back from these things. Oh, advancements in technology. Yeah, all the drugs that you're on, and no one cares. But let's be honest about it. And who was it? Wasn't there an MMA fighter that called out LeBron a couple years ago? It was like, oh yeah, my doctor's the same as his. I know what that guy's on.
Yeah, somebody did do that.
And
I
no
don't
one
remember who it was.
cared.
Yeah, no one cared.
Yeah,
but
they didn't.
just-
No one cares.
That's what's happening. And by the way, his kid sucks and couldn't score on him.
Now, why do you think? Yeah, boy, I watched a little of USC.
He's terrible.
He is. Yeah.
I love that. You know how many articles are out there where it's like, he's weighing his decision whether he wants to. He's averaging like 4 points a game and doesn't even start for the worst team in the
I
conference.
mean, you can certainly see his athleticism, but boy,
He sucks.
he's struggling.
Yeah.
At least what I watched. I saw them. They were playing Washington State. Tuned in.
They're not good.
No, they're not good. USC.
No, we need to stop.
Neither is UCLA, by the way.
Well, we don't do this with any other athlete's kid. In fact, we used to do the opposite. When it's like Gretzky's kid or Jordan's kid, we're
LeBron.
like we beat him down. But with LeBron's kid, we're like, yeah, this kid's great. No, he's not. I feel bad for him, kinda.
But do you think really, if something came out about LeBron chemically,
No one would care.
why wouldn't we care? Like, because we did care so much for baseball.
It
but
would be
we-
politicized, I'll tell you that much.
We
The
wouldn't.
whole shut up and dribble thing. Like,
Oh,
he gets skewered by
Sean
some
Hannity
people.
would get a boner that you could, like, a cat couldn't scratch it if that happened. Laura Ingraham somewhere would just be like, ha ha ha! Jordan's gonna plant some tainted supplements in his water bottle.
Each Monday, our Stock Watch is brought to you by Goldberg Jones. When it comes to divorce, custody, or child support issues, trust Goldberg Jones to help. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Phone questions answered at no charge. Well, the standard time bill, the permanent standard time bill, it has passed. Jace.
What does that mean for us in Washington?
Well, you guys, the pressure's on you now. We've passed the ball to you. Now make a shot.
You can do it without us, huh?
Oh no.
Well, they chose not to.
This is gonna be awkward for me.
We'll start there. Coming up next for In the News, here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, the Blazers just about to tip off their final game of the road trip, looking to sweep the road trip and get their third straight win. They'll tip off at 5 o'clock in Minnesota against the T-Wolves. Minnesota lost yesterday to the Clippers. Tonight, though, the Blazers extremely shorthanded. DeAndre Ayton, Toumani Camara, Matisse Thybulle have all been listed as out, as well as Jeremy Grant, Scoot Henderson, Malcolm Brogdon, and Shaedon Sharpe. The Blazers are 14-point road underdogs. In the NFL, Russell Wilson's time in Denver has come to an end. The Broncos will release the 35-year-old signal caller after just 2 seasons in Denver. This decision to move on from Wilson will cost the Broncos $85 million. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers and Mike Evans have agreed on a 2-year, $52 million deal to keep the franchise's all-time leading receiver in Tampa. And on the college gridiron, spring practice begins for the Oregon State Beavers under new head coach Trent Bray tomorrow. The Beavs' spring practices will culminate with a spring game or something similar on April the 20th. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley from the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Hello. Pleased to have you along. It's Isaac and Suk. What's up?
Hey,
What's up, girls?
what's up, ladies?
Right now it is March 4th, I believe, 2024. Time
You
for
are correct.
In the News. I'm your noted newsman. Hello, thank you. Thank you so much. Today is National Snack Day.
I
If
do
you
love-
like a good snack.
Is there anyone that doesn't love it? Seriously, is there
Snacks
anyone
are
on the
great.
planet that doesn't like snacks? Like what? You may not eat them because you're trying to be some health nut, but let's not act like you don't love snacks.
Yeah, there are people out there who don't actually like snacking. No, I'd prefer to not put something. Yeah, no.
yeah,
sorry.
delicious.
I just sort of snack. Like in my weekday routine,
yeah,
I just sort of snack. I don't really eat meals.
really,
Yeah.
huh?
Beef jerky,
Beef jerky's
lots of
delightful.
nice fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, if you're power ranking your snacks, I mean, are you going beef jerky number one, like gold
Well,
standard?
it
'Cause
is
it's
for
great.
It is for me now. It hasn't always been.
Yeah,
But
So damn expensive.
it really is.
I love a good bar mix, trail mix, whatever.
Yeah, I do too.
That's
Not nearly. I feel like, what I like about beef jerky is just like the straight protein snack.
Yeah.
But like,
Exactly.
by the time you buy a bag, like I could have a steak for twice as much.
It's unbelievable.
Like,
the
It's
price
just-
of the
it's
price of
insane.
beef jerky. It's like crypto. I
I
don't.
$16.99 for this bag of teriyaki. What?
The bags I buy are $8.
And they're tiny, huh?
Oh yeah, dude. It's more than a handful of jerky, but
yeah.
what I say to myself when I pull one out of the cupboard is I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna eat a little bit of beef jerky.
Yeah, good luck.
And then inevitably I ate the whole bag, and then inevitably I rationalized that, oh well, it wasn't that much anyway.
yeah.
But then I'm like, well wait, that was $8.
This happens to me at least 4 times a month. I'm in a convenience store or whatever, dropping something off, picking something up, and I'm like, ooh, beef jerky.
Ooh.
And I'll go to grab it, and then I'll look at the price tag, and for whatever reason, I'm like, I can't afford that. The amount of dumb crap you spend $8 on, but for whatever reason, that is the one thing that prevents me from eating more beef jerky.
Like,
is I
stop!
just-
I can't do this.
seriously,
of course you can,
like
but you don't.
it's offensive. I'm like, wow, what is happening? Come on, Jack Slink.
It is also National Grammar Day, which I know you don't care about.
Love me some
No, you don't.
proper grammar.
No, you don't.
Talk good, I do.
Yeah, the Permanent Standard Time bill has passed in the Oregon legislature. This is good news. We're not going to be doing okay. What Oregon was going to do was join Hawaii and Arizona
Yeah.
and just be on their own
Okay.
and just say, hey, we don't recognize daylight saving time, so we're going to go Permanent Standard Time. But as you've pointed out many times, there's a lot of people that live in Washington, work in Oregon,
Yes.
and that would be weird. Have two different times.
Be very, very confusing. And then I heard someone was like, well, they'll just grandfather in like Vancouver and like Clark County. So then you're telling me that when I'm going up to see a Mariner game, like during the summer, I got 2 separate times
Yeah.
when I cross from,
It just wouldn't work.
I crossed to Woodland? Like,
It wouldn't work. So they punted on that and they redid it, and now they voted it through, but it will only be so Tina Kotek will sign it, but it will only go into effect if California and Washington pass a similar bill within the next 10 years.
yeah. So it's on the back burner now. Now we sit and wait. And by the way, I have no idea whether or not it will be good. Good or not.
I'm okay with it.
I don't know.
I'm okay with it.
So do we give up that extra, like that super late sunset in
Yes.
summer? We'd
Yes.
give that up. We wouldn't get like the 9:15 sunset.
It would be darker. This always is so confusing, but it would be darker. At some points of the year, it would be darker more in the morning,
Yeah.
darker longer.
For whatever reason, the Vancouver Ford text line telling us that you guys need to get the word out for summer evening golfers. This change would be terrible.
Yeah, because that's what I'm
Well,
saying. So you wouldn't get the.
But it's only an hour, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can play till like, what, 9:30, 9:45?
yeah.
So you could still play to 8:30, 8:45.
I will say there is something great about that summer, like 9:05. You're like, oh, look at that. It's still sunny out, but you know.
That is nice.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, it's all relative.
I
It's still pretty
understand.
late.
Yeah, here's my thing. Right? Whatever you do, I'll be fine with it. I don't. This is not a hill that
Yeah.
I'm choosing to die on.
Yeah, me neither. If I need to switch my clocks, I will.
I'm all right. Or just do what I do and just realize and wait, a couple months and you'll be fine.
But now they just switch for you anyway.
Most of the time,
So.
yes.
I don't even know what the whole thing's about. If that's the case. Timbers announced a jersey refund policy. Did you go to the Timbers game the other night?
I did. No jerseys to be had.
How'd my Timbers do?
We were up 2-0, and then we gacked it away.
To who?
DC United.
Oh, God, the United?
The United. It was a tie game.
I hate the United.
So they gacked away the win, but it ended up being a tie. And I guess DC's best player didn't play because he refuses to play on turf.
Oh, I read about that.
Yeah, so, it's nice. We didn't have to deal with him. But yeah, a 2-2 draw, as they like to say. But the jersey thing was definitely, there was a buzz in the crowd.
If you bought a new kit before February 29th, you have 30 days to return it for a refund.
And they are working. That's just if you bought it from the Timbers. They're working on trying to help you out if you bought it from other retailers.
Yes. External vendors is what they're calling those. Official Timbers jerseys can cost between $75 and $200.
Now, someone we know has come up with the jersey that we all desperately need.
What is that? I can't read that.
That's the Mary's Club logo.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. That's the official Timbers jersey, and then right below the Timbers logo is the official Mary's Club.
Is she on a pole there? Is that what? I can't.
No, it's just if you look at the Mary's sign, it's the Mary's sign.
Oh, okay.
The Mary's Club, that is
Didn't Mary's move?
Yeah, it moved.
Across the street? Like on the other side?
I think it's down on Burnside now, is it not? It moved.
Well, it was just on the
It's not on
south side of Burnside. I think it's on the north side of Burnside.
Yes, I think it moved, and it's somewhat close, but yes, it moved. But
I wouldn't know.
You think of the Mary's logo, and it says obviously Mary's Portland, first strip club.
Yeah.
Someone, Ryan Huddleston, P1 of the program, he sent that to me and goes, "Hey, I'm going to try to have these made up. Do you want one?" And I said, "Shut up and take my money." If someone gets a hold of a blank Timbers jersey and prints that up, that is a license to print. I will wear that to every Timbers game that I go to.
So if you want a refund, just go to their website or something. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Hey, we have another door plug Boeing lawsuit.
Oh, for heaven's
This
sakes.
one for a cool $1 billion.
Whoa.
Yeah. Tell you about that next
Bill.
on The Fan.
This is the Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Tatum, a deep one, is good. Jason Tatum.
Yeah, you didn't need to watch it.
No.
Celtics won by a lot.
That made it 60-28.
Well, we thought that the Warriors were kind of starting to figure some stuff out, but Yikes.
The attorney, Jonathan Johnson, said this is mostly about the systemic problems at Boeing, which is jeopardizing the lives of the entire traveling public who travel on Boeing aircrafts. So.
Oh, I thought
that's it.
I assumed there was more coming.
Well, they're trying to make it like, hey, we're suing for the whole world.
Everybody. But the whole world won't get it, just these people.
Exactly.
Because I've flown on one of these planes. Can I get involved in this? Do I get a piece of that $1 billion?
Well, he says you should not be trusting luck to avoid a plane load of people being killed.
Well, it does make sense. I mean,
Is it really luck?
Well, people pray. Is that any better?
So these
you ever see that like before takeoff where someone's on there and they're praying?
I've never seen that.
I see it all the time.
People crossing themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, people crossing their hands. They do a little silent prayer.
Some people even do a little rosary thing.
I always think to myself, if that makes you feel better, but I always wonder, like, to those people. So if you think you don't do that, God's like, all right, you son of a, watch this.
You're going down.
Watch this. Everyone's going down.
Maybe the door plug was a warning to those who did not.
Yeah, it's letting us know, hey.
It's like, hey, you know what? I can take these doors off.
That's right. You want my protection. You better start throwing some up for the door plugs.
Yeah, dot your I's, cross your T's, and say your prayers.
Yeah. Except I never know which way it goes, so I just kind of, not
drink
sure
your milk.
How that works. Hulkster style.
I always go right.
You go right?
Before left?
I have no idea. Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know.
Like this.
It's like up, down. Is it left, right, left?
I go right. And then
I thought you start in the middle and go down, and then I don't know if it doesn't
It's
matter
like
which side you go
Contra.
to.
Left, right, up, down, select, start. I don't.
I'm a little out of practice.
Me too. I'm not sure how all that works.
Kyle Rinker and his girlfriend are suing. Kyle said, "We were diagonal across from there. We were in 27E and F, and that was at 26A, B, and C. So we were pretty close. The wind just came rushing in. It was very, very cold all of a sudden. Obviously,
I would think so.
And then
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure I'd have some fear pee.
Then he said, crazy onslaught of information. Of course, we wanted to learn about it. It was just a lot of stuff. He's talking about the aftermath. He said, we were, where we live, we hear a lot of plane sounds and jet sounds, so that kind of triggers hearing that sound again. And no, we have not been on a plane since. I'm not sure when that will ever happen again.
I am not here to tell anyone how they should feel, but I gotta believe that on most people, that's gonna leave an impact. Like having the GD plane get ripped open.
It's a traumatizing event for many.
Yeah. I'm going to say again, I'm not saying I'd soil myself. Fear, Pete, yes. Trepidation getting on an airplane, yes. My love of getting the hell out of here during the winter, I'm getting on that airplane.
Look, man, I'll go back to something I've said this whole time. Look, get your bag. Okay, get your bag.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Understand.
come on.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah. We're okay. Everyone lived.
You lived.
But get your bag. Let's just call it what it is here.
Yeah. Do you like I've told the story. I had one really bad bout of turbulence when I was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I will say that I have never flown the same since. It doesn't stop me from flying.
You just think about it?
Yes. I used to be a 100% laugh at turbulence, no bother whatsoever. And we had one bad experience where stuff went bad. Like blood, flight attendants flying, people were cut, absolute chaos. The oxygen mask came down.
Wait, the flight attendant just went like flying by you?
The flight attendant literally over the cart, went like 4 rows.
That's awesome.
No, it wasn't, because she was laced open. From her forehead I don't know what cut her. She may have hit one of the open overhead bins.
Was it one of those big dips?
Yeah, I think they called it the tail whip, where you hit a pocket and it goes up and then another one hits you and it jerks it
straight down.
It goes straight down and then it takes the pilot. It was bad.
It takes the pilot what?
It takes the pilot a little bit to kind of, I guess, stabilize it. For 20 seconds, everyone thought we were dying.
Did you sue them?
No. I guess the Buccaneers could have. I didn't pay for it.
Well, you can't sue. It's nothing they did.
Yeah,
it's
just
weather.
Weather.
It's the air.
But grown men were crying. I've never been more scared. And that was 20 years ago. And to this day, I do not fly the same way. And I can't imagine what it's like to have the door fall off.
Well, it wasn't the door. It was the door plug.
It was a door that was. It was a fake door So
Well, hey,
to
maybe
hear
you should get $1 billion.
to hear people say that has a lasting impact, I'm with you. There's a little bit of like, but at the same time, it has never stopped me from getting on an airplane, but not a single plane ride since then have I not thought to myself, when we get a little bump, I buckle my seatbelt a little tighter, and I'm like, it's not so
because
cavalier.
you know how bad it could get.
Yes.
Because I always find, because I've been in bad turbulence too, maybe not that bad, but I've been in really bad turbulence where I was sitting right next to the flight attendant, and I asked her, because she sat down in the back by me, and I asked her, I said, I was like, oh my God, I think it was a Vegas flight. And I was by myself, and I remember asking her, like, what is the scale of 1 to 10? Like, how bad is this? She goes, 4. I'm like, what? And to me, it was the worst turbulence I've still to this day ever experienced. And she's like, this is about a 4. So what you're talking about is obviously north of that.
Yeah.
At the same time,
when you see a grown person flying by you, that's when you're like, well, we're in trouble.
At the same time, I don't know. I've gotten better about turbulence. Like,
really?
And then when it doesn't bother me. And when they say, oh, we're gonna have some bumps here, I'm like, that wasn't really bumps.
It bothers me that I'm not gonna say that I'm a little like, as you like to say, you little bitch, but it does bother me that it bothers me because I'm like, this never did before. But
well, you've been traumatized.
I have.
So you should get $1 billion.
Be happy with 39. How about just a 10% discount next time? Well, I guess I don't fly charter flights anymore, so.
I'm not questioning that would have been traumatizing to have a door plug and like, whoa. At the same time,
yeah, I know.
We all know why they're suing.
Yes.
I would be too.
Yeah,
Probably.
Probably.
All right, that's in the news for March 4th, 2024. We've got the Hot 5 at 5 coming up next. A lot of news today. Matter of fact, I see it here. It's packed, jam-packed.
Love the news.
The Hot 5. So we'll get to that coming up next on The Fan.
Start your week off right with some amazing comfort food tonight and Monday nights all winter. Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop is offering
A fan.
All right. Welcome back. Hope you're having a nice, juicy little Monday. Dropping soup. The weather still sucks.
Yep. Is it ever going to get better?
We suck again. Boy, I tell you, I was looking.
We got any hope?
Well, last week I was looking at this week, thinking I'd get in some golf.
Yeah.
And no, it's kind of lingering, this cold weather.
I was invited down by Dusty Hara to partake in crab alcohol and I'm assuming nefarious activities this weekend down at the Oregon coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, I'll go hang out with the fan man and get blind drunk. It's supposed to be like 36 and
At the
raining
coast?
at the coast.
Good grief.
Like, what are we doing? I'm like, and we're outside and on. I got a text from him today. It was like, hey, dress warm. This is where we eat. We're eating outside. I was like, well, is there a cabin somewhere involved in this? What are we doing? I thought we were going down for fun hijinks and warmth, but apparently not. I feel like I'm being set up in some sort of weird Kansas City Chiefs sort of. If I die and end up frozen on the Oregon coast, realize that Dusty has murdered me.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want it for the record that if I die, I want Max Unger and Dusty Hara blamed.
Yeah. That sucks when the coast is like that.
I know.
Because the coast is so wonderful.
Exactly.
But
I'm going to have to warm myself with Coors and crab meat.
all right, well, what was I telling you? Oh, it's just crappy out
It's
there.
just going to be crappy.
Well, maybe gets better this weekend, they said. But
Not where I'm going.
but sounds like maybe not.
Not down at the coast. Everything I saw, at least what was sent to me, said sucked.
All right, coming up here, how sportsmanlike are your Seahawks?
Oh. Interesting. There's some sort of lady gentleman Bing trophy going on in the NFL.
What?
In the NHL, there is a Lady Bing trophy that they hand out
To the gentleman?
to the most
The sportsman?
Yes. Which, look, it should be an honor.
Who's Lady Bing?
God, I looked it up once. It's the same thing in Lord Stanley. It's an old French Canadian, whatever, lords and ladies. And I know that that's a great honor, but does anyone really want to win the Lady Bing trophy? Like, of all the things that you could win in the NHL, that just seems, not the best.
She was the wife of Lord Bing, the 12th Governor General of Canada.
Oh, there you go.
Classy lady.
Well, what does that mean? I don't care
Well, she's
about that.
she's a classy lady.
Stands the test of time as a.
But why? What did she do?
Well, she was so nice to everyone. She was a true lady.
Yeah. So when you win the award, you're viewed as the most gentlemanly man in the NHL.
I'll tell you what.
It's now the Lady Bing Memorial Trophy.
Yeah, because she's dead.
R.I.P.
She's dead. Yes. It is awarded to the player judged, which I find, why didn't you just say judged, but adjudged, to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. It's been handed out 89 times.
This says, okay, so Lady Bing is best known today for donating the Lady Bing trophy to the NHL. She did so in 1925.
Look, is that a little lame that you donated the trophy just so that you could,
Well, they're saying that she donated it because she appreciated gentlemanly play and good sportsmanship. She liked that.
Okay.
And she wanted to encourage and reward it, so she gave them her trophy. She was a raging bitch, but other than that...
Well, there used to be a Red Wing that would win it every year. He won it like 6 years in a row, and it always bothered me a little bit that he won it. I'm like, really?
Is he that good of a guy?
I'm like, throw an elbow every now and then. And his name was Pavel. He was a Russian guy. I wanted
Pavel
a little...
Datsyuk?
Yeah.
The Magic Man?
Yeah, he won it year after year after year, and I was like, come on, man, just throw a little... Just once. Get a little cheap shot in there. Quit winning the damn thing every year.
The only truly good thing I'm reading here that she did was she volunteered at a local thrift shop
What?
to raise money for the Red Cross and the Women's Active Service Club. So,
And that gets her a trophy. So basically, she managed to weasel her way into a prestigious award because she was like, here's an award because I like gentlemanly conduct, and I'm going to name it after myself?
well, yeah, I don't think she was that great. I'll be the first to call it out.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. She gave that trophy to the NHL in 1925.
Yeah.
Nobody has batted an eye since. Should we revisit this?
I feel like.
How great was she?
Exactly.
Do we need to cancel her?
What about like a mother? What if there was some? Well, in 1925, I've said this. Anything that was named after someone from the 1920s, buckle up because it's going to be problematic. So, yeah, I think we need to do a deep dive.
Yeah, Lady Bing, we're just taking this stuff for granted. We need to vet this.
So this needs to be like, I don't know, like who's the, like a lady of more recent gentlemanly conduct.
Oh.
Like who would we give that to? Like, I don't know. Like,
Lady Trump?
Is that Melania?
Melania?
What about the old Bush lady? Did anyone like her?
Oh, Babs?
Babs?
I think she's pretty well liked, wasn't
Some people love Michelle, but that would be a bit controversial because some other people not so much. We need someone
Why
that
would you not like Michelle Obama? She's wonderful.
There are a lot of people that don't like her.
Because she's black, that's why.
I'm just trying to think of like a universally beloved woman that loves gentlemanly conduct. Because, like Mother Teresa, but if you there's some people that don't like Mother Teresa. Even she's problematic.
Why? What'd she do?
Well, I guess she was,
a little handsy?
Yeah, well, hardline religion, it can be a little.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But still, she was a wonderful woman, right?
Right?
Not according to some, apparently.
I'm questioning all of this. No. How wonderful is anyone?
Well, all I know is
it's all fake.
When you're a gentleman in the NHL, you win the Lady Bing Trophy.
All right. Well, coming up here, we've got Super Hot Sports Talk, and then in the club tonight, boy, I tell you, some buddies of mine and I ventured out Saturday. Two friends met them for we were going to meet at pizza and then just have a beer or something.
It happened. Then you went out.
Well, yeah, I got to talk about the Portland scene, man.
Okay.
It's wild out there.
Yeah. You don't get out much, do you?
Rob out in the wild, he has thoughts.
I don't. And yes, I do. We need to talk about it.
Because we were supposed to go out and we could not. One of us didn't make it.
What do you mean?
One of our crew was not able to make it after the game. We had to.
Oh, after the Timbers game?
Yeah, we had to deal with
Got two housed at the Timbers?
We had to deal with the situation.
Jesus.
We thought he was going to die.
All
We
right.
could have seen you out there.
The club is 6 to 7 right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victoricos.com. Number 5.
Well, the Pac-12 men's basketball title is up for grabs as we enter the final week of the regular season. Arizona leading Washington State by a half game. The Cougs have just one left. They host Washington on Thursday. Cats are at UCLA and USC on Thursday and Sunday. Oregon's game against Colorado Thursday here on the Fan, I might add, could be for the number 3 seed in the Pac-12 tournament, and that would mean a bye.
The women's league got decided last week. Stanford took out Oregon State in a close one, and the Stanford Cardinal are your regular season champs, but Old Reagan Beers was not in that game, so we get a rematch in the tourney.
Yeah, the Pac-12's women's bracket has the Beavers, the 4 seed. They will play the winner of number 5 Colorado, number 12 Oregon. That game will be on Wednesday. Blazers T-Wolves tonight. They're about to tip off in Minnesota. DeAndre Ayton, Jeremy Grant, they're all out. Everybody's out.
Yeah, no one's.
Except for Anthony Simons.
It's a full-on tank job, like you wouldn't believe, and yet they're still finding a way to beat Memphis.
And hey, the Bucks have rattled off 5 straight. They're getting set to take on the Clippers here in a few minutes. No Giannis. He is out with an Achilles injury.
I'll tell you what, that's stressful. Speaking of stressful, have you seen the Lady Ducks? 11 and 20.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah,
like I said, they're the 12 seed.
Can their coach?
Free agent third baseman Matt Chapman signed with the Giants over the weekend, the Gigantes. How do you feel about that, Buckley?
I like it. He said that he and Melvin have unfinished business. Bob
Yeah,
Melvin, that is.
He played with the A's.
Yeah, they had a pretty good thing going there, and of course, ownership wouldn't open up the purse strings, so kind of fell apart.
Could be up to 4 years, $73 million they're saying on that deal. We also have the most lucrative extension in terms of annual salary in MLB history. It goes to Phillies pitcher Zach Wheeler.
Who would have thought of all those Mets arms? Remember all those young guys that Wheeler would be the one left standing.
3 years, starts in 2025, worth $126 million, which is an average of $42 million per season.
Yep, most ever for a multi-year extension. Good for him.
Scherzer's still out there, isn't he?
Yeah, but Scherzer wasn't part of that Mets staff. We're talking about like Matt Harvey, and they had Matz, and they had Syndergaard, and DeGrom, and all those guys, and most of them are out of the league now, or completely washed up, and Wheeler's left standing.
That's true. Syndergaard's gone.
Syndergaard's gone.
Matz is lame.
There's just nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the last one, and he was the one they got rid of.
More San Francisco Bay Area sports news, much to the delight of our producer, Ryan Buckley. The Niners have hired Nick Sorensen as their defensive coordinator. They promote him from passing game specialist and nickels coach.
That's the hot Buckley, yeah. But he's just nodding
I
right
mean,
now.
Does anyone care about this?
It appears that Kyle Shanahan wants somebody who will just be cool with Kyle Shanahan being the way that he is. Like he doesn't want a big personality on that side of the ball, it seems. Also former Seahawk KJ Wright on their staff.
What a breakdown.
That is phenomenal.
By the way, Sorensen spent 7 seasons in Seattle. Also hired to the Niners defensive staff is former Chargers coach Brandon Staley. So they're saying that he will likely be assistant head coach replacing Anthony Lynn, who left to go to Washington.
Okay.
Not Washington Huskies, but Washington Commies.
Yeah, the Commanders.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. But Staley is going to be on the Niners defensive staff.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Chris Mortensen, quarterback and newsman for ESPN, died at the age of 72 over the weekend. He had battled throat cancer over the years.
Yeah, and that's one of those that when you see those tributes, every single one of them was exactly the same. Every single one of them had the exact same story. And that just lets you, he was a universally beloved guy.
People loved him.
Yes.
Eagle center Jason Kelce officially retired today. He is 36, played 13 seasons. He is a Super Bowl champion, 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler. And as expected, the Broncos have informed quarterback Russell Wilson that he will be released at the start of the new league year, which is March 13th.
They are going to eat $85 million.
He went 11-19 as a starter there.
I did not, like, we say this all the time, but I just can't believe that someone's willing to do that, to get rid of him. And so they can split that over 2 years, but realize that they are 40 plus mil a year, an elite starting quarterback in dead money the next 2 years.
Number one.
And number one, we stay in the NFL. The Bucs and receiver Mike Evans have come to terms on a 2-year, $52 million extension. He will not hit free agency and will likely retire in Tampa. He is 30. He's reached 1,000 receiving yards in all 10 of his seasons. That's an NFL record to start a career.
Yeah, and he may not be exactly the same player that he once was, but I'm glad. I mean, I don't know if this is the best deal in the world for the Bucs, but I'm glad that there was some loyalty there. And I just love Mike Williams. He has been everything you could want on and off the field there, won a Super Bowl, and I'm glad that he's going to get to stay in Tampa.
And one other NFL note of notable notation, reports are the NFL is going to push the Players Association to adopt an 18-game regular season schedule for the next CBA.
I knew that was coming.
It would still be a 20-week slate overall, but 18 in the regular season and just 2 in the preseason.
But hey, player safety, right?
But hey, let's get that kickoff cleaned up.
Yeah. Supposedly that's in the works. They're going to adopt the XFL kickoff, and that's a whole thing that we'll get into. But because there's a bunch of rules that go into that. But supposedly they are not happy with the kickoff just being a ceremonial play, and they're trying to make it a thing again.
All right, we'll get to Russell Wilson and today's NFL headlines next. Right now, the Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victorricos.com. 519 on the Fan.
The home of
Why do you have to hide that you might have a cocktail in your Yeti?
You can't have that.
Why?
You just can't. You can't open
We
that.
all do it.
You can't open that Pandora's box. You just can't. It's a best practices thing, Rob. You just can't do it.
Best practices.
Yeah.
That's horse crap.
Is it the OS or OH? What is the? Would it be OHSS? Right?
OSAA?
OSA, whatever the hell that thing is. They can't. You can't just have like, everyone go to the games.
My kid's 7.
You can't.
He's not in OHSAA.
Well, then you can't have the little runt soccer league. You can't. You just can't do it. There's some things
It's because it's a
can't
slippery slope.
do.
You got to draw the line somewhere. You're not going to draw it at 2 drinks.
Oh, F off.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying they're choosing not to draw the line a little too far.
Now, I will say that my buddy...
They should have bars at Little League games.
Yeah, my buddy was on to do one of those travel league whatever things, and the parents would tailgate before the tournaments.
They all do. It's like gambling.
You got to drink.
Gambling.
You got to drink in the parking.
We were all doing it.
Yeah,
before,
we're all doing it,
and
but
we're still doing it now.
You can't bring it into the.
But somehow we have to have this guise of rules.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you just have to put on appearances, and it's not like the parents' behavior is great, anyways. I'm with you on that. It's a bunch of raging idiots in the stands, anyways.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the drunkest of all the drunk dads, he's gonna get housed no matter what.
That's true.
So
yeah,
I don't know. We have a lot of charades in our.
It is true
in our society.
But again, now we keep it.
Charade.
You just keep it in your little thermos, and
That's right. All right.
Probably for the best.
So from now on, when teams cry foul about money, we can point to the Russell Wilson deal and go, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, I don't know. There's not going to be any major consequences for Denver here, is there?
Well, the cap hit. I mean, that's the consequence. The next 2 years, their salary.
But they can afford it.
Well, I mean, they can't afford to go out and get another quarterback. They're going to have to go super cheap.
Yeah, but you can always draft a quarterback.
You can always draft a quarterback. It's just that you realize that, so normally when you pay a quarterback $40 million a year, right? Like you need that quarterback to alleviate the other problems on your roster. Problem is they're paying $40 million for a quarterback that isn't there. So you're gonna, for the next 2 years, they're wandering in the wasteland here. They're in some trouble. We've never seen a hit this bad. So even if they do find a quarterback, a rookie, and let's say for the next 2 years he's pretty good, you're still not getting the benefits of a cheap rookie quarterback because you're having to pay Russell Wilson.
It's as if you have an $85 million quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it sucks. And now we'll see what Russell Wilson does. Because remember, there's offset language. Russell Wilson and his agent, they could just go sign a league minimum contract somewhere because the Broncos already have to pay him. And any money that they make, it offsets what the Broncos owe. So it really doesn't behoove any team to give Russ more than $1 million or $2 million. So if you think Russ has anything left in the tank, in theory, and I'll see what he's interested in getting, he may get a 1 or 2 year prove it deal for absolutely just chump change and try to go to the best team possible and try to resurrect his career.
I would give him a prove it deal if I'm the Raiders or something.
I could see a team like Atlanta that's like, hey, we're pretty good. We're like what Tampa was last year. And like, hey, we just need a quarterback. We're going to have a strong run game. We're going to give you a bunch of weapons. You're making $40 million anyway here. Look, for the next 2 years, we're not giving you a bunch of money, but you do it over the next year or two, and we'll take care of you on the back end of that and come here and win and resurrect your career. And so he all of a sudden, especially if he's willing to be cheap, and there's no reason for him not to be. No one's giving him $40 million. The Broncos are already paying it. Why does Russ want to? If he is at all smart, he will take a garbage-ass, super cheap deal, get his money from Denver, and go to the best team possible and try to breathe some life into this.
I mean, he named his own son Win. He supposedly loves winning so much he named his child that. If he really is all about it, that's a no-brainer move.
Yes.
Hey, Seattle.
Pittsburgh?
I could see Pittsburgh.
Hasn't he been linked to the Steelers?
Yep, he has been.
To all the same places that any of the quarterbacks have been. Like Pittsburgh.
Steelers, Raiders, Falcons.
Yeah. I guess supposedly they're trying to bring back Cousins to Minnesota, so that would maybe eliminate that if he decided to go back. So you're not going to get him to a team like that. It's a young team looking to build, but a team that thinks that they're a quarterback away. Yeah, I could totally see that. And this is Russ's last opportunity. I mean, this is the biggest contract failure we've ever seen in the NFL. So if Russ has any sort of smarts, he realizes that this is it. If it doesn't go well next year, he's done. So
Yeah, but he's still getting $85 million.
He's still getting 85. He's still getting 85 mil. So,
rough.
Yeah,
It's rough.
Well, and he's got an absolute dime of a wife, but at the same time, there's got to be some pride that kicks in here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he goes somewhere and looks better. I mean, I think he looked better last year with Peyton. You know, it depends on the coach and the staff and everything.
Go to a place with a run game, a good old line, and that's why I think Atlanta might be a place that he could go.
Yeah, see, that's why I think. Well, Pittsburgh doesn't have the O line.
No, but Pittsburgh would work too.
Doesn't Future live in Atlanta? Is that going to be a problem for Russ, his wife, and her ex?
Yeah.
Good call. I didn't think about that.
Pittsburgh or Atlanta,
Seattle.
I think make a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Russ, so their cap hit is more than Jason Kelce made in his entire career.
Yes, over the next 2 years.
It's $85 million over 2 years or this year?
Well, it's $85 million, but when you take the hit, you can split it up over 2 years.
Over two. Okay. Yeah, over 2 years.
Over 2 years.
Yeah, because Kelce made $81 million.
Yep. So they will
nuts.
eat the next 2 years more than he made in his entire career. Again, we've never seen anything quite like this.
All right, how sportsmanlike are your Seahawks? That's next. Here's Buck. Yeah, apparently, so the Blazers are playing the Timberwolves tonight in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards was not on the floor in time to start.
So people were wondering, like, was there something wrong? Did he have the trots?
It was really weird. He was supposed to be in the starting lineup. He wasn't, and then Nico Reed started, or someone else started in his place, and then he came in after 1 minute of play. He just checked in at the scorer's table. So I think he either had the scoots or was,
I often think it just boils down to that.
The scoots?
The scoots.
Yeah, nature called. You had to do your thing. You missed the first minute of the ball game, and off you go.
Look, we've all been there before where, dude, when you got to go.
Yeah, like what else would it be?
Yeah. I mean, because
Was
clearly.
he on the phone?
Got a personal issue?
There had to be an issue. There's had to be. Like, because a lot of these guys before games, they're taking some form of upper. You're in an energy drink, you're caffeine, whatever. And for you, I know you don't do any of that, but like you take coffee, right? You drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
8 million cups of it.
Well, what happens after you take a cup of coffee or two, right? Things start to move a little bit.
That's true.
I can't tell how many times I'm leaving the house and I'll like drink an energy drink or whatever, and I just have to turn around and be like, nope, let's go take care of something first. And NBA players aren't immune to that.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But it's not a huge deal. He checked in a minute later. I don't know. The Wolves are leading your Blazers, the upstart Blazers, 25-22.
26-28 now.
Oh, in a tight affair.
That's right. T-Wolves up 2 after 1.
Banton has 7, bro.
I don't like this signing all of a sudden. What are we doing here?
Sign that guy.
Well, Banton and Reith, I thought were going to be good for our bet. It's not good when they got 13 points combined in the first.
Yeah, and they're shooting like 6 of 8 right now.
Well, at least you have Chris Murray out there.
There you go.
He's garbage.
I'm not worried about this one. Minnesota will be just fine.
Guy Rupert is getting minutes tonight?
Yeah, Ryan Rupert.
Your favorite player?
I got the odds for Russell Wilson's next team. We forgot one in there. We mentioned the Steelers; they're the odds-on favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Atlanta. We mentioned the Raiders. You talked about the Vikings. What about the Patriots?
Oh yeah, you forget about New England.
Yeah. Now that they got rid of that anchor, Bill Belichick.
See, I wouldn't. If I'm New England, I steer clear of. I want nothing to do with Russ, because that's like that's a bad roster. It just is. You need an entire offense rebuild and. I'm not going down the Russ thing. How old? Russ is what, 30?
He's 35. He'll be 36 in November.
Yeah, look, you're hoping to get 3 quality years out of Russ. If you're New England, rip the Band-Aid. You either make Mac Jones work, or more than likely, you got the 3rd overall pick, if I'm not mistaken. You draft your future quarterback, or you trade back, and you take like a Bo Nix type. New England, there's no... That's just a non-starter for me if I'm Mayo.
I saw the list of the most unsportsmanlike teams in the NFL over the last 10 years.
The anti-Lady Bings?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, to rope that back in here. No Lady Bing trophy for your Seahawks.
No, are they a bunch of dirty bastards up there?
Well, this is the NFL. It's every NFL team ranked by most unsportsmanlike penalties: taunting, roughness, personal fouls, or other ejections.
Yeah.
Okay. Seahawks are 3rd.
Over what period of time did you say? Just last year?
10 years.
Oh, 10
Some
years.
of this has to simply be DK Metcalf. Like,
that's what I was wondering. If it was over the last year, it's all DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf cannot keep his S together. Like he's.
Yeah, but I don't think this is all just one guy. I mean, you got 113 penalties, man.
I know, but I'm just saying, DK Metcalf is the Rasheed Wallace of the NFL, or the Ike Turner, if you will. Like that
He
guy
has certainly helped them
That guy has problems.
on this list. Most unsportsmanlike team in the NFL, the Jets.
Really?
128.
Those sons of bitches.
Bills, 119. Seahawks, 113. Those are your top 3 dastardly teams.
Huh.
Bottom 3, fewest unsportsmanlike penalties are the Vikings, Colts, and Cardinals.
Interesting.
What?
Well, and they all kind of suck too, so maybe that's the key.
Yeah, the Cardinals only have 64. They just don't have that Jets-like edge.
Yeah, you got to play with that vicious streak like the New York Jets.
Yet I offer you, which team is worse?
I think the answer is the Jets.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, they equally suck.
Franchise-wise. But if they had Rodgers, they'd be better.
Yes,
But,
that's,
I mean, Arizona sucks.
Yes, they do. They didn't have Kyler Murray for a long time, too. So, maybe it's a now that we got Murray and we got Rodgers back, we can have the true debate on who sucks worse.
Rodgers.
Either way, start picking up some penalties. Let's go. I've been known to get an unsportsmanlike or two in my day. It happens.
Mike Evans,
a good leg whip, if you will.
back to the Bucks, 2 years, $52 million. He will likely retire a Buck now. Who does that leave on the free agent market for wide receivers for us?
Well, T. Higgins got the tag. By the way, did you see not many franchise tags handed out this year? None of the running backs got it. Snead got it. Christian Wilkins in Miami, they said they're not going to do it. T. Higgins got it. There's not many. So I'm trying to think. It's a very deep class. It's a very deep class of receivers in the draft. And I want to say there's a couple decent free agents as well. I'm going to scroll down here and find my receivers.
I've got a list here. It says Michael Pittman is one.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley's another. Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis.
Calvin Ridley's an interesting one in that you're going to be able to get him for super ass cheap, and he's still in his 20s. Which Calvin Ridley are you going to get?
Because they were kind of banking on him having a resurgence after the suspension, and he never really did.
Yeah. Pittman's one of those guys that could get the transition tag, but as of right now, it has to come tomorrow. I think that one could go either way, but it doesn't necessarily look like he's going to get it. I'm looking here. Yeah, it's not for whatever reason, I thought this was a better wide receiver class than it is. As I'm scrolling down, like the top 100 free agents, like you mentioned, Gabe Davis, he's okay. Yeah, it's actually not that great. So, but with the draft being what it is, you will see a S-ton of receivers go in the first 3 rounds. I mean, there is a ton from the top 3, and then you get down into the 2 kids out of Texas, the Coleman out of Florida State. We got Troy Franklin that could be a first rounder. Dude, there's just quality. I've seen like mock drafts, like in the first 3 rounds, it's just littered with wideout talent.
All right, up next, of all the recent sports characters to get his own show, wait till you hear this one. It's 5:43 on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Something that really, goes out about the Dolphins for me is just how young their coach is, and something I can, relate to. It doesn't matter how, old you are, just how matters how good you are. And he's an amazing coach, and even though that he's young, that he's an amazing coach, and I'd be honored to play for him and play for that amazing GM and amazing offensive line coach.
So that's Jackson Powers Johnson of the Ducks at the Combine. He's talking about Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins.
Yeah. Now, I've seen old Jackson Powers there. I've seen some people have him as a top 10 O-line prospect overall, and for a center, that's pretty rare. It's a very deep tackle class, but he may be the first non-tackle taken off the board.
Ducks Report brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Thanks to everyone who came out to
Coming to Hulu that you may like.
Okay.
Sports show.
What do we got? I saw the preview for season 2 of Full Swing. That looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
That's
I think that comes out this week.
Yeah,
Like
the
Friday,
first
maybe?
season looked. I couldn't get through the first season. It was too much explaining the game of golf, which was just. But this one, the preview at least looked really good. I was intrigued.
The first season of Full Swing had some good episodes, but then others that were really boring.
Yeah.
You know, the new Drive to Survive came out.
Really good season so far.
Dude.
I have never gotten into that.
That show is so good.
I'm only halfway through, but episodes 2 and 3 were great.
It's so
They're really
good. It really is. If you like, and you don't even have to like F1. I didn't give a rip about F1. I didn't know anything about F1. But then that show came out, all about it.
And to that end, I have finished the NASCAR series. I think it's called Full Speed. That basically is done by the same Drive to Survive producers.
Is that good?
And I thought that was very entertaining.
Yeah, the tennis one is good.
I didn't love the tennis one.
Well, the second season is better than the first season. They get a little more interesting in the second season. Although tennis players are
not that interesting.
I'm not gonna lie, they're not a lot of interesting.
I just can't handle at the beginning of those if they spend the first 3 episodes explaining to me what the game is, and I get you're introducing new fans to it, but I swear to God, in the golf one, they're like, now these guys play 4 rounds, and when you par, I'm like, I can't.
Not in Live.
I cannot get through 2 episodes of you explaining to me what a birdie is. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Well, that's when you get 1 under par.
Thank you.
Well, the this one could be interesting. The Full Swing one, just because it will cover a lot of the Live stuff
and
all that drama.
Yeah, and Rory and that's what I said. The preview on it looked really good. So I may just I didn't watch more than 2 episodes of season 1. I may just jump into 2 and give it another whirl.
So here's a sports show that is coming that it's based off of a character that came out briefly, and we did talk about him on this program. But surprised this has turned into a full-fledged TV show. Tell me what you think. It's going to be on Hulu, and it's being done by a guy by the name of Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. Should I know Glenn Powell? That sounds familiar.
He's he's Hangman in Top Gun Maverick. Is that right?
Yeah, that is Glenn Powell.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
But I'm
he's the
guessing-
hot guy with the small mouth.
Yeah, that's not, but that can't be.
He's the star. It says here he's the red-hot star of Anyone But You.
Yes, that's the same Glenn Powell.
Okay.
Yes.
He's a oily bohunk type of guy?
Yes, he's a very
Actor.
handsome man, and rumor is that he might be stooping Sydney Sweeney.
Oh.
Good for him.
She was on SNL this past weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, you noticed?
Yeah, they were in a movie together, and it was like one of those. The chemistry was too good, and so now we're like, oh well, clearly they're doing it.
The internet would not shut up about that SNL.
Yes.
Yeah, because everybody's in. Sydney Sweeney's like the hottest new thing, right? Like, doesn't everybody think she's super hot? And
Yeah, she's kind of the
she
new.
threw her boobs out there. and-
She's kind of the new it thing. She was in Euphoria and a couple other things. She was in White Lotus, and yeah, it's a whole thing now.
Yeah. Well, I hope she's talented.
She did a Hooters sketch for SNL.
Yeah.
Really leaning in.
Yeah, I saw Joe Fisher from The Fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know him?
I do.
He of can run a 5.240 fame.
Yeah, he posted something about. I didn't. I got to tell you, I'm a huge SNL guy. I love SNL. Haven't watched it in years, and that hurts me. I should go back to SNL because I've always liked it so much, but I just can't. I don't know. It's just. I don't know what it is. I'm just over it. I don't watch SNL.
Yeah, I get it.
But he posted a clip of her saying goodbye. You know how they do the goodbyes at the end?
Yep.
And everybody's on stage. Holy.
Yeah, she's
up tops.
Yeah, she's
good grief.
She's getting a lot of buzz.
It's like when Squints in the Sandlot says, "Oh yeah, she knows exactly what she's doing."
She's kind of the new it thing, man.
And by the way, if she did a movie, you said they did a movie together.
Yes,
her and
that
Powell.
one that you just mentioned.
Yeah, anyone but you.
Yes, there's a shower scene that's making the rounds.
If I said that Glenn Powell was not Glenn Powell, it was Leo DiCaprio, or it was I don't know, Brad Pitt's single now, or just any relatively good-looking Hollywood actor.
Yes.
Does that movie? She's dating him. Am I wrong?
It certainly has that feel about it. Yes.
Like they're trying to get that.
When you get chemistry together and you get 2 attractive people, we automatically assume that you're
Glenn
rubbing things.
He just happened to be first.
Yes.
To get that role
Yeah.
and get cast next to her, and so then now they're dating. But if that would have been, like I said,
not maybe not the Brad Pitt because he's like 100 years older than her, but yeah,
100, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about like Zach Braff or not Zach Braff, but who's the other?
Well, maybe like Eastwood's kid, right? Like
Yeah.
Scott Eastwood. Yeah, someone like that.
Or maybe even the Tom Hanks's kid or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're all gonna.
They're all exactly.
It's
You can't
he
have
just was right place, right time, cast for the right film.
bingo.
And he lands Sydney Sweeney.
Yes.
Anyway, he will star in a show on Hulu called Chad Powers. Now, do you remember Chad Powers?
Is this the stupid Eli Manning thing?
Yes.
They're not doing a show.
Yes,
about that.
they made an entire show
Oh my God.
about the Eli Manning bit where he disguises himself as a quarterback by the name of Chad Powers, and he goes and he tries to walk onto a college team.
That is so dumb.
I am here to tell you right now that having not one bit of intel on that will be the worst show on television. And by the way, Glenn Powell's 35. We're going to now...
How old is Sydney Sweeney?
I think she's in her early 20s. So we're expected to believe that Glenn Powell at 35, when this is filmed, 36, 37, is like a plucky 19-year-old
Well, no,
college
that's
kid.
the whole point, because wasn't Eli Manning's about that age?
Oh,
when he
so
did
it's
it,
like-
so that's kind of part of the
That's
bit.
the whole bit.
Oh, that he's just an
that
old
he's an
washed
old
up
guy, but he wants to.
Scott Bakula from Necessary Roughness or whatever.
So,
Oh, boy.
yeah, it says here.
Sweeney, by the way, is 26. That's not 10
Okay.
years in Hollywood. That's
All right.
nothing.
Where's she from? Tell me more about her.
I don't know. I just know that she's hot. And I remember someone sending me a clip of her from Euphoria.
She's from Spokane.
Oh, look at that.
No way.
Yes, she is.
Are you serious?
That's right.
Wow. I don't know. What that
Attended
means,
private
but-
school in Spokane.
Gonzaga, maybe?
She was on the soccer team, the baseball team, and the snow slalom ski team.
in high school.
That's what it says.
No.
Oh, what a go-getter.
I just know she's the hot right now.
So, okay, so this says it's based on an episode of ESPN Plus's Eli's Places, in which former New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning goes undercover as a walk-on prospect named Chad Powers at Penn State. He's doing it with this guy by the name of Michael Waldron. He's the writer. And it says, we're both diehard college football fans. When we saw Eli as Chad Powers, we knew that was the way into a big, fun story about this world. We're excited to be part of this team and can't wait to get Chad in the game. Think fast, run fast.
It's going to be so bad.
The show comes from 20th Television and Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions, of course, along with ESPN and Waldron's Anomaly Pictures.
Yeah. I just tell you right now, that will be a giant turd.
The show's logline reads, when bad behavior nukes hotshot quarterback Russ Holiday's college career.
Russ Holiday.
He disguises himself and walks onto a struggling Southern football team as the talented and affable Chad Powers.
Okay. So what you're saying is, like, you have a star college court, like Caleb Williams flames out. So Caleb Williams puts on a mustache and goes and plays at Texas Southern, and no one's aware.
Well, Eli...
Well, yeah, he's got a rockin' mullet now, so...
They quote Eli in here. He said, the love for Chad Powers has surprised me in spectacular ways. I played 16 years in the NFL, but now when I'm in a restaurant or walking through an airport, it is not uncommon for fans to scream, hey, Chad!
Are you serious?
I'm so excited to team up with my friends Glenn Powell, Michael Waldron, and Omaha Productions to continue to tell the Chad Powers story and see what he does next.
Who are these people? Then again, Larry the Cable
who are
Guy is
you?
a very successful...
I think they would ask the question, who are you? Some blowhard on the radio in Portland? They don't care what you think.
But imagine if people were coming up to Sook because of like a bit of him acting like someone else and not Big Sook. That's the part that's strange. That people know him as this other
Your
character.
alter ego.
Chad Powers. Hey, man.
Well, it's going to be on Hulu.
More power to you, Glenn Powell. You're a handsome-looking dude. Take your shirt off a bunch. That's what people want.
And you know what? If I
will.
had Sydney Sweeney in my back pocket, I probably wouldn't care what I was booking either.
That's
you know?
Again,
cash and checks, baby.
All Glenn Powell has to do is take off his shirt, and roles will happen. He's working that Jason Momoa career, and you know what? Nothing wrong with that at all.
If you have the option to be hot and get paid for it, you should be hot and get paid for it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, it goes both ways. Like, because a lot of people right now, I've seen her taking shots at Sydney Sweeney, saying that she's not a real good actress. It's just, she's been blessed. But can we say that like men do that all the time? Like, have you ever seen Charlie Hunnam act? It's not good.
No,
it's and outside of Sons of Anarchy, that it's not pretty.
So brooding though.
Exactly. He's like, hey, what does Charlie Hunnam do? I don't know. He's good looking. Henry Cavill. Say that guy's wooden. He plays like a cigar store Indian. It'd be the best role he ever had. That guy can't move. And yet look at him. He's Superman. He looks a certain way. It works both ways. We just tend to give women more criticism. And believe me, there's plenty of. Jason Momoa cannot act. Find me one thing that he's ever done that he's good in. And it doesn't matter because look at
I
him.
always thought that about Keanu Reeves.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
I mean, he's so. I guess it works for him, but
it's like not believable.
yeah, it's like,
I love Keanu.
I don't know, man. You're right. There's a lot of those dudes out there.
Exactly. So again, it works both ways, and then everyone gets mad at why, because the ridiculously hot get better like lives than the rest of us.
Oh, because you wanted to see the person who was really the much better comedian on SNL. Okay,
I'd cast
sure.
her too. Make way more money.
What is the? Did you watched Barry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barry was on HBO. There was a great scene in there where Barry's girlfriend, who's been trying so hard to be an actress, and she's working and she thinks she gets the role, and she doesn't. They hire her to teach the hot model how to be the the star of the show. And it's one of these great bits where she's like, finally I'm being acknowledged for my work, and they're like, what? No. Teach that hot, tall blonde over there how to act. And she does the scene, and they're like, oh my God, that's perfect. And she's like, yes, I'm getting the part. And they're like, now show her how to do that.
Yeah, good
that's
times.
the way Hollywood works.
Good times. All right, the club is next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk here with Steve from
that is welcoming and friendly and delicious.
Yes.
So they did something really weird at Ken's Artisan Pizza.
All right.
So we went to Ken's.
Yeah. Quality pie, by the way.
Great pie.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
Yes.
And we went in there, and those two guys got there a little before me. I Ubered over, and it was 6 o'clock. They were like, meet at 6.
Sure.
We'll get our name on the list. We'll go around and have a couple drinks, and then we'll go back in an hour or two, whatever they're ready for us, right?
Yeah.
Well, we go to Ken's, and they say, we're so busy, come back in an hour and 15 minutes, and then we will put you on the list. They said, I am closing down the list, is what she said. And I thought that was so odd.
I can't say I've ever heard of that.
No, because
why wouldn't they just say it's 2.5 hours?
Or say 4 hours. I don't care. Just put the name on the list.
Yeah,
if we don't get a table, we don't get a table.
It's a bold move. Can I offer this? Are they tired of people saying that they're on the list, but no one ever waits that long? Therefore, they're like, no, if you really want to come back, then we'll put you on the list. Is it one of those that just so many cancellations?
Well, we did make it back in there. We had quite a Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm type of evening.
Sure.
Where this was puzzling to us. We're like, okay, well, I guess we'll go back at 7:15 and put our name on the list, which we did. Mm-hmm. But when we got back at 7:15, there were so many people waiting that we couldn't even. The line was so long to get
on the list.
To just get on the list that we didn't wait in that line.
And that's why you showed up early in the first
place.
place.
Exactly.
So that's the thing, is if there was a system like, hey, we're going to give you a number, come back and check in with us again. But now you got there before all those other people, and they punted you down the road. Yeah.
These are my thoughts.
I don't want to bash Ken's Artisan
I don't
Pizza.
either, but it's a silly way to operate.
That seems like a horse-ass move. Now, clearly they don't care because they got a line out the door.
They don't.
But
and they were really nice about it.
See, but I don't care because you can't be nice about being an a-hole.
Well, but
that's an a-hole move.
Look, to them it was the right thing to do.
How?
I think it's completely wrong. Well,
it sounds like they were overwhelmed.
So here's the thing. She was overwhelmed. The thing is, I'll tell you about everything else in the middle later, but we ended up back at Ken's at the very end of the evening, even after dinner. We walked up to Laurelhurst Market, had a delicious steak.
And then went back to Ken's?
Yeah, we did, because we were so puzzled by this move that we went in and sat at the bar after it cleared out. It was like 9:30 like 9:30, I think. They close at 10, right?
Sure.
So we go have a seat at the bar at Ken's, and we're like, let's ask them what that was about, because we were puzzled by it.
I am intrigued, yes.
And so we talked to her, and she couldn't have been any nicer. She came over, she said, well, if I tell people 3 or 4 hours, like they're not, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So we just we just shut down the list and we tell you to go away and come back. But I said, I don't care if I don't get a table. Yeah. I just want to be on the list. I think their major problem is they don't take numbers, right? So they don't take your phone number and text. You know how some places you'll get a text alert? You can go wander around and then get a text.
Absolutely.
They don't do that.
Well, because one of the delightful scenarios is when you give them the number, you think there's going to be a long wait, you find out everyone's dropped off the list, and hey, our table's ready.
It's amazing.
Well, and they also, I don't know about you, but this always drives me crazy when they do they somehow have these these magical powers to survey the dining room and tell you exactly how long it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
He's like, you don't know.
No, it's all
she's like, well,
we're making
30, 45. I'm like, nah, you don't know that by looking out there.
Yeah. I'm very much bothered by what happened at Ken's. And you can
it's
say
not a good way to go.
It's not, because I am so with you. If I show up and you are busy, I understand, but I get to go on a list. An hour later, someone else gets to randomly show up, and somehow they're in front of me.
They've now beat you, even though you got there first.
It makes no sense.
I'm not okay with it.
And
Ken, I'm not okay, Ken.
I explained that to her. I don't even know who Ken is or who owns.
Is there a Ken? I don't know.
I don't know. It's named after.
But either way, I'm not happy, Ken. I don't like this.
I explained this to her, and she was like, "Well, I totally see where you're coming from, but this is just the way. This is the way we do it." So we got nowhere on that. They were really nice about it. Ken's is wonderful. Don't boycott Ken's. Mm-hmm. But I would say that if you go to Ken's and this happens to you, push back and say those 3 dudes that were in here griping about this, they have a good point.
It's a very, very good point. Normally, I would side with management against you every time just because screw you, but you are 100% in the right here.
Look, man, I am. Nobody is a bigger advocate for the service industry than me.
Yes, you are. You're very generous. You're polite.
And I love it, and I think that everybody should work in it to get an understanding of a lot of different things, like how it works behind the scenes.
Like in some
how
countries,
to treat people.
Some countries force you to do military service. I feel like we should have a mandatory 1-year service industry.
That's right.
And that way you won't be an a-hole to restaurant employees.
Big fan of the service industry.
Yes.
I got to tell you, though, man, in this next place will not be named, but you guys that go out in Portland, and maybe this is like this everywhere now, I also have to have a qualifier here and say that I don't know what it's like in restaurants anymore. I haven't worked in them for 25 years.
Sure.
Okay, so I know what it was like before. I know the challenges, but I know now it's even harder. Staffing, money.
Everyone's short-staffed.
Everything's
working on a budget.
It's tough.
My son's a bartender in the game right now in Portland. I hear the stories.
I totally get it. And I totally get that Ken's is doing the best it can. But, man, and this was not at Ken's. This was another place. So we walked, over by Ken's.
Stands.
There's a bunch of bars and stuff. And we were walking up and down there trying to get a couple drinks while we waited to go put our name back on the list, which we weren't able to do.
Yeah.
And we got into these bars, man. And there is something really douchey about the Portland bar foodie scene that, and it's not every place, but it's just this kind of too cool for school attitude where, we may have a table for you, we may not. Oh, it's first come, you can sit there, and then it's going to take 8 hours for me to get over there because I'm really busy because we're really popular and we're really cool. And then when I get over there, I'm going to be kind of rude to you because I think that you need me more than I need you, and you can tip me or not, I don't care. The next guy, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That is getting to be a little much out there. And like I said, I don't know what this girl was going through and what that place is all about. It was a nice little cocktail bar, but man,
see,
customer service does not mean what it used to.
You are now running into head-on, and what I have dealt with for many, many a moon. Over the last 8 years when I've been single, a lot of gals want to go to the hip places, right? They want to go to the happening bar. They want to go to the popular spot.
Yeah.
And I refuse.
But it's not all of them.
It's a lot of them.
It's some of them, but it's not all of them. I've been to Con.
It is a lot. No, Con is different.
Con is wonderful.
Con is wonderful.
They are
there
great
are outliers
in there.
for sure.
And Laurelhurst Market is different.
But bars, especially bars.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's the swanky cocktail bar.
Swanky cocktail bar. I cannot tell you how many times that I have been forced to go to some horse bleep cocktail bar that I am told is all the latest rage in Portland, and everyone has to be there, and I show up, and instantly I know, A, I'm going to hate it, and B, I'm going to want to punch someone because there's a line out the door, and then when I do wait the 45 minutes to get the same cocktail that I can get at Slow Bar or Pay Dirt right down the road that doesn't have a line and actually has cool bartenders that want me there.
It's fun, yeah.
It's fun. I have to wait 45 minutes to get up there to get told that some sort of elevated cocktail that I'm going to have that's going to cost me $22 because it comes in a lantern with smoke in it. And then that person is going to be disgusted at my very presence because I don't fit their clientele. And then they're going to be mad at me when I tip $3 on the one cocktail that I ordered.
I hear you, dude. Look,
couldn't agree more.
It's just it's a thing, and it's gotten worse.
Yes.
And I just don't really understand why. The other thing too is like some of these places, they expect you to know how they operate, right? Like, is there a list? Who do I talk to? Do I just order at the bar? Do I sit here and wait for a server? And none of that is ever, like, I guess. I talked to my kids about this. They were over last night, and I was talking about this, and they were like, "Oh, well, yeah, in Portland, you just go to the bar."
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I'm like, well, guess what?
I don't.
This old man did not know that. Okay, so I
don't think that's universally known.
That's what they said. They said, "Oh yeah, you just got to go to the bar."
I mean, it's a thing that you do at a lot of places, and if you don't know, you can go ask. But I don't know that that's industry standard, is it?
But this joint, I went to the bar, and she was like, "Oh no, someone will be with you. You just got to stand over there on the rail."
Isn't it a host or hostess job to tell you like where to go and what to expect?
There was no hostess. Yeah. So
that's the other thing is people's margins stink right now, so they're cutting back on staff. And if they don't have a problem with demand, they don't have to care.
Yeah, and this guy's right. Dive bars have better service than high-end bars.
100%.
No question
Not even
about
close.
that. And they're cool in dive bars.
Yes.
Those are people that actually want to work in the industry.
Yes.
And have fun with it.
Yep. That's what I said. Go.
It's right. He's right.
One of my favorites, like I said, if I'm meeting someone for drinks after work, I'm a slow bar guy. It's right there. Oh, and then, like I said, Pater, 2 of my favorite dive bars. You go there, they're happy to see you. They know who you are. It's the same bartenders. They've been working there forever, and they're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And they take care of you, and you take care of them. The bar patron bartender relationship, to me, that's the new sacrament. Like that's like your priest. That's your therapist.
It should be.
That's a great relationship. But you give me some hipster douche behind the bar. Like, why am I paying a bunch of money for your cocktail for you to treat me like crap?
I have an answer that partly explains that.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line, just know these 2 old white guys.
Yeah.
We're over the Portland is too cool to serve you attitude.
Can't do it.
It's not good.
Nope.
It's getting worse.
Yep.
Needs to change.
I feel like this
because that's not customer service, man.
No. I feel like this may have cost me this my last relationship. This was a big divide because she loved going to trendy places.
Well, sometimes I will say this. 2 things. The first thing is some of these places have really freaking extraordinarily good cocktails.
Sure.
And I love that. Like, that is a new thing that is awesome. Like, because every place has something different in their own twist on something, and it's really interesting what they do. And so that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is to answer your question about the bartender patron relationship. When I bartended, and I was a bartender for many years, and I like to think I was pretty damn good at it.
I could see you being an excellent bartender.
I loved it until I got so sick of people that I had to switch careers. But because people will ultimately drive you nuts. And maybe that's some of it. And maybe there's just a lot of jaded burnout in that. And there is. But you still got to kind of fake it. Right?
But I don't get the sense that the people who are treating customers like that are the people who've been doing it for ages.
Couldn't agree more. I feel like that's just the way it is.
It's just a new vibe.
Yeah.
I'm a cool guy in a cool place, and I don't have to be cool to you.
The one thing I notice going out now versus when I bartended, it was all about, like, if I was going to get more money out of you, it was not going to be the cocktails. Although I think I made a pretty good drink.
Sure.
It was, I need you to order more, right? I need you to hang around. I need to butter you up. I need to be friends with you. I need to start talking to you. I need to help you, or whatever you need from your bartender, I'm going to give that to you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to have fun with you. I'm going to tell you a joke, whatever. I'm going to show you my boobs.
All right. You got to show a little teat.
I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? That was bartending. What I believe bartending, and maybe this is just a Portland thing because we have all these cocktail bars and all this weird stuff going on. I feel like it's now your head is down 95% of the time because these cocktails
are so involved.
They're so involved. They take and they have to make them fast, right? You can't. Sometimes it takes them longer than it should, but a lot of them are really good bartenders. They're good mixologists, right? They're making really good cocktails with good ingredients, but they're making a lot of them because their place is busy, and they don't have time to look up and tell you a joke, right? Like, I feel like that's a totally different element of bartending that is true now that was not true when I bartended, and I like to consume this type of cocktail, but I would not want to be a bartender in this type of environment. I think it was way more fun when you just pour in a couple beers and a shot of whiskey and we sit and shoot the breeze.
Exactly.
You know?
Shout out.
That's what dive bars are.
Yes.
In many ways, the dive bar bartender can be much friendlier.
It's a more rewarding experience.
Because he's more high volume, just pour and go, and he can hang out and kind of control his bar with...
Look, I get it. Like, people love the Scotch Lodge. I'll take the Clinton Street Pub, or I'll take the Cat's Paw all day, every day. Give me an ice cold Hams and give me a Jameson on the rocks, and I'm good to go.
But where I think so the thing is when you go to to wrap this up, when you go to a cocktail bar or a place that has swanky cocktails, and you get a really friendly, cool ass bartender, tip the S out of them because that is actually kind of rare nowadays.
Yep.
In Portland.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
So anyway, Ken's, you're great. But we have a problem.
But your list is not great.
Call us, Ken. Call
Yeah,
us.
they got to change that up.
And I'll tell you what, I will be good and damned if I ever wait for a bar. It's not happening.
Well, this is a.
I understand that's Ken's Pizza,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
will not wait
Yeah.
at a bar. We show up at a place and there is a line 4 deep, like 4 rows of people at the bar. Guess what? I'm going next door because they got drinks too. Not doing it.
All right. Oh, by the way, shout out to my friends at Laurelhurst Market.
Yay.
The old standby. We walked right up there, got in. They were wonderful. Had a great cut of meat.
The culotte.
Well, they don't have the culotte right now, but I had a strip. It was delicious. So for those restaurants and bartenders and peeps that are out there doing it well, keep
That's
doing
right.
what you're doing.
Cat's paw, I'm looking at you. I love you, baby.
Some of you are not.
I love bars. Drinks taste better on bar stools. They just do.
All right. Coming up next. What is coming up next?
I don't know.
Where were we? How much would you pay for a ticket with no view?
No.
How about that? It is 6:25 on the Fan.
The home of
people are donkeys. Look, I get that. I do, and that's where I think that when you're in the restaurant industry, you gotta be aware. If you're jaded, you got like me. I got to the point where people drove me so crazy that I had to get out of the business.
Sure.
And if you get like that, nobody deserves to be treated, like to get the cranky bartender. That's come on.
It's terrible.
So yes, I get that a lot of people are donkeys, and they sort of wear out your zest for the job, perhaps.
Oh, it happens to nurses, first responders, teachers. You can just tell life is beating them down.
Let's not confuse everyone wants to be treated like a king with just expecting a little customer service.
Yes.
Those are two totally different things.
I am with you on this one. I do not think that I am a king, nor do I think I'm a little princess. Although maybe, pretty princess. But I am so with you that if you hate being a bartender and you're an ass, don't be a bartender. No one's making you do it. And I get there's days where you can be grumpy, but I do not get the surly ass person that hates their job. Then I won't go back. If you give me a bartender that's an ass to me or is rude, I'll just go find somewhere else. And I don't think, by the way, I do not think that I am a high maintenance customer at all. The exact opposite. I am not ordering fancy cocktails, far from it. But again, if I'm at a place and I'm going to be there for 2 hours and I'm going to order 6 to 7 cocktails, and you get the first one, I'm going to keep my tab open, right? That's an indication that I'm here to drink. Okay, I'm not paying as I go. Here's mine. And I would assume that after my second drink, right, and you see my cup is empty and you're not overwhelmed, I'm sorry, but that's not me expecting the world's best customer service to simply come by and within let's say a 10-minute time period, say, hey, would you like another one? Or after 3 or 4 drinks, hey, would you like to look at a menu? That's not exceptional service. That's just doing your job.
Right. It's never that hard to be friendly. It just isn't.
No.
And expedient as best you can.
Exactly.
I get it.
Within reason.
I get it. And then also not be so put out when someone doesn't understand the ways of your bar. Like this bar we went into, they had this sitch where they didn't have a cocktail menu, which to me is very odd.
Sure.
Today's
especially fancier places.
Yeah. And she comes over to the table and just stares at us like, okay, what do you want? And I'm like, well, do you have a cocktail menu at all? And she's like, no, just tell us what you like, or I don't remember what exactly she said. So tell us what you like, and we'll see what we can come up with. I'm like, well, that's really odd.
A little odd.
Okay,
sure.
So I ordered a Negroni, and I got a Negroni.
Yeah,
and it was good. Yeah. But it's like, well, I don't know. There was something I was missing about how they operate in this place. Mm-hmm. So it just, and she was kind of rude about it, as if I'm supposed to know. I don't know.
I just don't.
It's just bullshit.
It's interesting to me that why don't I ever get the rude ass bartender at the more blue collar or dive bar-y places? See, that's the one that I just think sometimes you get crowned up. Like you get this like with like baristas and stuff. I hear from people like the more in demand you are, I think the more people think they can get away with, and that I think that's I don't know.
That's right.
I'm just not I'm not a fan of it. Like I went into a bar not too long ago, and a bar I go to a bunch, and the lady couldn't have been any nicer. She walked right up to me and said, "Hey, FYI, we've got one cook. Like we're down. Like your order is going to be an hour." Yeah. And she's like, "If you want something, order it now." And she was swamped too. Like they were low staff and all that. And just coming to me and saying that, it just diffuses the whole situation.
Right.
I'm like, hey,
it's just being honest.
It's being honest. And it's like, hey, I understand. If I'm choosing to eat and drink here tonight, it's gonna be a slow wait.
It's really not that hard.
It's not
in customer service to give the impression that you're going above and beyond for someone.
Yeah.
And if you do that enough times, you're gonna get a really good reputation.
Yes. And it makes you want to come back.
And yet in Portland there seems to be, and I'm sure it's like this in San Francisco, all these other snooty cities, they've got this too cool for school attitude about service, and it's really off-putting.
But what's off-putting to me is that consumers continue to go to these places because they're quote the hip. It drives me.
Or they just have good cocktails.
Now, do we think that is like online digital review culture? Is there like an echo chamber? Someone says the place is great, and then all the people who follow that have to go there, and then we get the type of situation that we're talking about? Or why is it
I don't know.
that these places that aren't really don't make you feel that great or popular.
It might be a certain type of place because, like I said, my gal really loves these. She's a foodie. She loves the fancy cocktail bars and all this and that. She just goes with her friends now because she doesn't want to bring me along. I've just been eliminated from the equation, and she doesn't mind it. And I ask all the time, I'm like, you don't mind that they're rude? And she admits it. But you don't mind that there's a nasty wait. You don't mind that the service isn't that. And she doesn't care. She wants to go for the experience. And a lot of these places, I'll ask, I'm like, would you ever go back? She's like, oh, no. But she'd she posts about it, and she's like, oh, but I'm like, you wouldn't go back. She's like, well, no. But it's like it's the experience. It's like this is the place in Portland that we have to go try. And I don't know. I just think there's two different types of people in this world. And yes, if you tell people that this is the joint that everyone's loving and there's a line and it's packed, there's just that mentality of, well, this has to be worth it. When a lot of times, I don't.
Many times it's not.
Many times not. What's the Stanley Cups, right? People are fighting each other over an insulated thermos.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of mentality.
Our naysayer guy, text line, he said he was talking about the customers, not us. Okay.
Oh,
clarification there.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Is it wrong? And now I want to go to a bar.
We have to break. We should at some point we should do a shout out to all the great dive bars out there.
I tried just the 3 or 4 that I love going to.
I'm talking about a little more comprehensive.
Yes.
Look at best dive bars in the area.
Yeah. Do you have a couple that you just because I usually end up at the same handful of bars.
I mean, I gotta be honest.
Oh,
we
you
don't really.
that much.
Yeah. I mean, this night out was like, I sort of feel like the old guy yelling at the clouds, which I kind of am. Because it's just been a while since I've been out like that, and it wasn't the greatest experience, because of some of these places.
I don't know.
So I don't really ever belly up anymore. I used to all the time.
Love a good belly up.
I don't do that anymore. I belly up at home
because my gal goes out to the fancy place, and that just leaves me. I'll just go again belly up again. There's a handful of classics. I love it on a Friday night. Give me Kelce and some good Irish tunes. And like I said, Slow Bar, Cat's Paw, Clinton Street. There's just so many. Pay Dirt. There's so many really good dive bars. If you really want to go diving, go to the Slammer. There's so many good dive bars out there. They're fantastic. And you're going to get great service, friendly people, and you're not going to wait in line for an hour for a $23 cocktail.
All right, how much would you pay for a ticket with no view? That is next. Here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on the Fan, the Blazers wrapping up a 3-game road trip. They have a chance to sweep that road trip tonight if they can pull
find seats that had no view of the stage.
That would be problematic. Don't they usually say that, like obstructed view on the
Did she
ticket?
pay the same as other tickets?
She paid $700 for the tickets.
That's a lot.
I think I'd want to actually see the concert.
A lot. I think even if I paid $7, I think I'd want to see the concert.
Yeah.
This was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
After arriving at the gig, she discovered her line of sight to the stage was blocked by a massive tower. The woman admitted she wasn't the only one who left disappointed, and that other fans who had traveled from Sydney were in tears over the hefty price tag and travel costs.
Yeah, I don't blame her. That is problematic. Now, can I also say this? If I paid $700 for my seat, and I'm assuming this obviously at some big football stadium, soccer stadium, whatnot, 60,000 people. Move? Like, have you ever been to a concert where there isn't a place that you can go sit?
Yeah, they moved her. She said that their whole section complained and they got passed around a little bit, but finally there was a supervisor that came over and got them onto the other side of the stadium.
There you go.
And she's now saying, well, we missed so much of the show because we had to race around to the new seats.
Really? Like,
that's what she said.
You missed the 5 to 10 minutes that you had to move?
She said it definitely impacted our experience.
Well, I'm sure it did. And that sucks that you spent $700, but let's also not act like you spent the entire time sitting behind a big barrier. And again, if that happens, sometimes you have to take a little ingenuity. You take it upon yourself, and again, go find a different seat. I mean, shoot, I'd rather go stand in an aisle somewhere. Go stand on a concourse. You got to go figure something out. You pay that much and you go down there. Some of that, again, sucks and you complain. But even if they don't do anything, you don't just sit there like a boob behind the pillar and be like, well, there's nothing I can do
just
now.
Walk around.
Yeah, figure it out. I mean, I've had that before where you end up with a crappy seat, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't good. And then you get up and you gotta make your way.
Hey, at least you were there.
At least you were there.
A lot of kids dream.
$700 to see Taylor Swift.
I know.
It's a lot of cheddar, but hey, I can imagine that is traumatic if you spend all that money and like you travel and it's like the one thing you want to see all year, and then you get there and you get a big stupid post in your way.
All right, Taylor Swift. I've got more Taylor Swift news. You guys want more Taylor Swift?
T-Swizzle?
Tay-Tay.
That damn Tay-Tay.
That's next as we wrap it up next on The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and now Window Nation brings you the window into the
Well, believe me, it's in the notes. We will talk about that tomorrow. And this bank robbery suspect in Tualatin.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to discuss tomorrow. But here to wrap up the show, and by the way, no Andrew Nimick tonight.
No.
He is not coming in. From what I understand, he is holding out.
He's holding out for more money.
Yes.
I think he's looking for 2 honey baked ham coupons.
So according to a report, Taylor Swift can now boast an illustrious ancestor. She is related to famous poet Emily Dickinson.
Oh. Is that a cool thing?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. Right?
Does she like Emily Dickinson? Or, she's like,
well,
that bitch.
Hold on. So, Tay-Tay in her uncanny ability to stay in the headlines.
Yes.
You do know the name of her latest album. Do you remember when she announced it at the Grammys?
No,
or wherever that was?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's titled The Tortured Poets Department.
Oh, and now we're getting this.
So do you think that this is all by design?
Well, wouldn't she be able to prove it?
Well, yeah. The story comes from Ancestry.
Okay, yeah.
The company.
So she knows.
She is 6th cousins, 3 times removed, with Emily Dickinson.
That doesn't sound very related.
No,
3
it does
times,
not.
that's a lot of removal.
So it says Swift and Dickinson both descended from a 17th century English immigrant. Swift's 9th great-grandfather and Dickinson's 6th great-grandfather, who was an early settler of Windsor, Connecticut.
Oh, good old Windsor.
Taylor Swift's ancestors remained in Connecticut for 6 generations until her part of the family eventually settled in northwestern Pennsylvania, and that's where they married into the Swift family line.
Interesting.
Dickinson died in 1886.
Can I also admit something to you? While I'm very familiar with who Emily Dickinson is, I have I could not tell you one thing that she wrote.
Me neither.
I know she's a poet. I know she's a big deal.
Yep.
I know that a lot of ladies like her. I know that she looks very angry because it was the 1800s and everyone looks angry in their portraits. I have no idea.
I don't either.
I couldn't tell you one thing that she did.
The only reason I know of her is that I think somewhere along the line school said we needed to know something about her.
Yeah.
And I have since forgotten.
Sure. Absolutely.
Emily Dickinson.
I mean, but I bet you could say that about every poet, basically, that's out. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's a poet. Sure, yeah. Maya Angelou, I don't know, he's a poet laureate. I'm like, sure, I don't know. And then every time there's a president and he brings the poet laureate up there and she says a little thing, and I'm like, oh, cool, great. I have nothing